create chaos theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only wakes us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Only another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All above the Betty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Betty Express. In a beautiful darkness.
Good morning, everyone. We are on day 4 of the Chris Wolfenbarger trial, and we are going to try to get through this. Now, this does start mid-testimony to what I'm guessing is a law enforcement officer who is also cosplaying as a lizard right now. My pause game is on point, as always. But I have stopped it at the point where it actually does, the audio does come on. So this is Fulton County. I guess we can't be expected to expect, audio to work at all times when they can't even find, evidence. That being said, we are at 1.25 speed today. If that's too fast for anyone, I am going to be taking notes. Let's see where this crazy trial takes us, because it's nice to be back here and feeling good enough to get back into trials with you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful Labor Day, hanging out before the barbecue start, or you're smoking already.
And then in 1992, I went into criminal investigations, and I remained in criminal investigations until I retired in 2020. Most of my time in criminal investigations, I worked crimes against persons, which is all types of assaults or missing persons can be included in that. And then in the later, probably 10 or 12 years, I focused more on crimes against women and children. So I was working sexual assaults and abuse of children, along with internet crimes against children.
And that is where you were working when you retired?
Yes.
Now, I want to take you back to the year 2000. Were you serving as a detective?
Yes.
And in the year 2000, what unit were you assigned to?
It's hard for me to say exactly. It would have been probably crimes against persons. We really didn't, I can't recall when we started the internet crimes against children and kind of branched it off, but they used to be kind of commingled before that.
And during that time, I think you just said that if there was a missing persons report, would that go to the crimes against persons unit?
Frequently, yes.
Tell the jury briefly about your job duties and responsibilities if you received a missing persons report.
So, depending on where the missing person report originated, more often than not it would be Uniform Patrol Division. Then it would be, reviewed by their supervisors. It would come to the Criminal Investigation Division, where it would be assigned to an investigator. In that case, once it got to us, we would do what we could to contact possible witnesses, same in any other case, trying to gather additional information, or do what we could, make sure that they were entered into the national databases so that if they were contacted by law enforcement in any other jurisdiction, they might be identified and we would be made aware of it. So those types of things. We would be trying to do what we could to do steps additional to whatever the Uniform Patrol officer may have done when they took the original report.
And with a missing persons report, are there times where there can be gaps in the investigation?
Frequently, I would think, there's a lot of times with adults, you don't know if they willingly left or not. Many of them you might have suspicions or have some concerns about because of lack of contact with people whom they normally contact, things of that nature. So you can have different degrees of it. Some of them, don't draw a lot of attention, and most of them are resolved within a few days. Somebody shows back up. Then you do have some like this. They go on for a period of time. You have very little leads as to where the person may have gone, and you have few people, if any, who report to have any contact with them.
And you said in cases such as this, were you assigned a missing persons investigation from Melissa Wolfenbarger?
So I don't have the initial report going back that far, which would give me verification. Oftentimes, if cases go on for extended periods, more than one person could work on it. So I definitely was assigned to it or working on it.
Good morning.
In 2000, 2003.
And this is why it's so critical that police forces have a good way to retain documentation. Fulton County, I have reported on this with Mornings with Mo. Their annex, where they keep a lot of their evidence, paper reports, that kind of thing, is infamous for having infestations of rats. I mean, there's talk of them eating the ganja that they're saving for evidence. So this is kind of a well-known problem that would affect a cold case. But in my honest opinion, this case is unfortunately with true crime cold case podcast, a lot more information, kind of things that you can say on a podcast have to be precluded in a court of law. So a lot of the, insinuations, the hearsay that can be brought up in a true crime podcast can't be brought up in the court of law. And by the conclusion of this trial, the state just didn't have anything beyond the innuendo. And the sad part is now that we might never know what happened to Melissa because good investigative techniques weren't used at the beginning, good storage techniques weren't used. And now, because evidence is lost, there's a lot of things that are lost in this case. And it's really, really sad.
Whether it was initially my case from the beginning or my case the entire time that it was open, I can't say.
When did you first get involved in this missing persons investigation?
The report that I do have to review, it's around January of 2000 is when I was making some contacts and talking to people.
And in January of 2000, what were some of the first steps that you recall doing when you received the case or worked on the case?
I have some indications and reports. We're summarizing contacts with Melissa's parents, with Christopher's mother, sister, his grandparents, and if there's anyone else I don't recall offhand.
Okay. And at that time, did you start in January of 2000? Based on
Yes.
the report that you
Yes.
made? Okay. So I want to kind of start chronologically, starting in January 2000. In January 2000, did you speak with first Norma Patton?
Yes.
And are you able to tell the jury when in January 2000 did you speak to Norma Patton?
That was January 12th.
At that time, when you spoke with Norma Patton, to your knowledge, was there any other missing persons report regarding Melissa Wolfenbarger?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yes, because this is where this case becomes incredibly hard to kind of follow. And I'm going to need at least 10 boards to do a murder board on this case. But Norma claims to have last seen Melissa in 1998, but they didn't report her missing until 2000. Now, again, they did seem to have a sort of chaotic family dynamic, but Norma insists that Melissa would not go, years without speaking to her, without dropping her notes, without acknowledging significant dates. So it is really confusing as to why the mother of this young lady didn't contact the police until nearly 2 years later. It's just one of the many cases or parts of this case that makes you think, what in the sauce is going on here?
Now, are you able to tell from your report how you spoke with her? Was it on the phone, in person? Are you able to indicate?
On the phone.
Without telling me what your conversation was she able to provide you information regarding the last time she had met with or saw her daughter?
Yes.
Was she able to provide you information about Melissa's children?
Yes.
After speaking with Ms. Patton, what, if anything, did you do to look for relatives of Ms. Wolfenbarger?
So the police department has databases that include all the people that the police have encountered, throughout the year. So all those reports are entered in there. So I did checks like that. At later times, checks with persons from some type of Department of Labor, things like that, trying to find out if there's a record of them working somewhere, various things like that. But in this particular instance, right after speaking with Miss Norma Patton, then I looked into the police records to see if there might be anything I could associate with the family or with her.
And based on any of your leads, were you able to tell if Melissa had gotten any jobs after 1996?
I think 1996 is the last employment record I had.
Okay, then this draws into question further testimony from the family because according to both Tina, which is spelled just like Tina is, but pronounced Tina in the family for reasons that make my head want to explode, and I have no idea. And Norma, Melissa at the time of her disappearance was working at various and sundry Waffle Houses. So there is a lot of contradictory testimony that I'm sure led the jury to not convict Chris. But these are just things that I remember from their testimony. And I mean, I've written notes, but I have in no way followed this in the week I was sick. So if I'm able to remember these things just by taking notes, then you guarantee that the jury is going to remember, wait, the mom said she was working at, Waffle House. The boyfriend who she slept with only once or twice because they were just talking, who worked at the Waffle House, said she was working at the Waffle House. I mean, unless she was working under the table, which I don't think Waffle House generally does, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a Waffle Houseologist. A lot of this is not making sense, just, fact-wise.
Now, in October of 2000, what, if anything, did you do regarding your investigation into the missing persons report of Melissa Wolfenbarger?
I spoke to Kathy Wolfenbarger, I'm sorry,
And where did you meet with her in person or over the phone or something else?
in person.
And where did you meet with her?
268 Lakeview Drive, Locust Grove, Georgia.
And did that appear to be her home?
Yes,
When you met with her, did you tell her why you were present?
yes.
What did you tell her about why you were present?
That I was investigating a missing person involving Melissa.
What was her demeanor? Did you notate anything about her demeanor when you told her why you were present?
I noted that she was reluctant to talk to me about it initially, but as we spoke, she was able to overcome that and talk to me and provide some information.
Did she provide the information willingly or reluctantly?
Well, it was, like I said, noted originally that she was reluctant to talk to me about it, but then, of course, I'm going to try to overcome that and tell her that, her assistance is going to help with the investigation. So that's what I was trying to lay to her, and then eventually she did provide information about the family.
Okay. Did you notate in your report that she provided that information reluctantly?
Yes.
Holy crap, you've asked the same question 3 times already. We get she was reluctant. Now I have complete and utter speculation. Let me again put out speculation on this. But if any of you, and let me take down this while I'm, speaking over Sarah Boone is creepy in and of itself most days. But this case, what struck me about this was sort of Norma and Carl's very, very odd sort of reactions to Melissa giving up custody. And again, they're very, well, at least Norma and Tina's really, really passionate sort of protestations that Melissa would never willingly give up custody of her children. And I wonder if Kathy's, reluctance to talk about this is because of genuine fear of Norma and Carl, especially in 2003, when, all the information about Carl's past deeds as the Flint River, Red Rummer came out. Again, I have always posited that it's very interesting that Kathy was able to maintain custody of the children when I'm sure that to Norma and Carl, those children were Melissa's and should have remained with them. In fact, that seems to be a big bone of contention for the family, that the children stayed with Chris's mother. So I do wonder, and again, this is all speculation. I have not delved deeply into this case, but it does make me wonder if the reluctance was more because of shenanigans that Norma and Carl had done over the years and learning that they had a past of taking care of people that crossed them. I would not want to talk about anything, even if it was rumors, I wouldn't want to talk to police if I had that underlying maybe, knowledge or anecdotal knowledge. I wouldn't want to, especially if I had children to protect.
And what type of information was she able to provide for you?
This sounds like we're getting into hearsay now, Your Honor.
Not specifically, but what generally? Was she able to give you phone numbers? Was she able to give you other people you need to talk to? Generally, what information was she able to provide?
Based on that, I'm going to let her continue. Go ahead.
She gave some general information about the family members. Didn't provide, that I can recall or obtain from the notes, any type of phone numbers or anything specifically on someone to contact.
Did you ask her specifically about information on Christopher Wolfenbarger?
I did speak to her about Christopher. You know, obviously wanting to speak with him and get his information.
And was she able to provide you any contact information for Christopher?
No.
You notated in your report that she was reluctant. Why was it important for you to notate that she was reluctant in your report?
I mean, there could be a number of reasons that somebody's reluctant to talk to us. So I just made a note of that. I mean, it could have some bearing on the information she provides or the circumstances that she might be involved with a particular case, something like that. I mean, it's just, it is.
I mean, he's illustrating exactly why you would put down she's reluctant to talk, because in the intervening years, if this case wasn't resolved, it's important for him to note down sort of the behavior contemporaneously to when she was talking. Now, again, there are many reasons why, any number of reasons why one would be reluctant, but the state is pointing out, and he's pointing out, the need to take actually really concise notes and maybe dig into that if you're going to note it.
Relevant to us. I mean, it could have some bearing on it, but that's why it would be noted.
Okay. Taking you to February of 2001, did you have the occasion to speak with Mr. and Mrs. Patton?
Yes, I did.
And when did you speak with Mr. and Mrs. Patton?
February 22nd, 2001.
Excuse me. And did you speak with both Carl and Norma Patton at that time?
Yes, I did.
What, if anything, did you tell them about where you were in your investigation?
Speaking with them, I had not been able to speak to Christopher at that point, and that after talking to them, I informed them I would do a few things to see if I could generate some additional leads in the case. And that is when, in fact, we spoke to one of the representatives from the Georgia Department of Labor and obtained some work history for Christopher and Melissa. Okay.
And at this point, we're February of 2001, so is this about a year and 1 month after you initially spoke with Ms. Patton?
Yes.
And at that time, were they still concerned about their child's whereabouts?
Yes.
In February 2001, did you also speak with a Richard and Virginia Autry?
Yes.
And what day did you speak with them?
February 26, 2001.
And what was your understanding of who Richard and Virginia Autry were?
I understood them to be the grandparents of Christopher Wolfenbarger.
And did you speak with them in person or over the phone?
In person.
Okay. And where did you speak with them? Not necessarily the address, but was it their home? Or
Their residence.
And did they provide you any information that assisted you in your investigation?
Yes, they did.
Were they able to provide you any contact information for Christopher?
They did provide some historical information that's about him and Melissa.
Okay. Did they provide you any, a contact phone number, address, or location where to find Christopher?
No.
And at this point in time, had Christopher reached out to you in this now year period to talk to you about Melissa and this missing person investigation?
No.
So it took you in a year and
Taking
1
you to
month
September of 2000.
to get the brainwave that maybe you should talk to her husband? Okay.
2001. What happened or what occurred in September 2001?
September, I did have a chance to interview Christopher Wolfenbarger at the Henry County Police Department.
And what date did you interview him?
September 12th, 2001.
And is this now approximately 18 months after the initial missing persons report?
Yes.
And at this time, when you met with Christopher, were you aware if any remains were found as related to Melissa Wolfenbarger?
No.
At this time, were you aware of any investigation or any body parts being found in Atlanta in 1999?
No.
Now, was this interview videotaped?
It was.
Okay. And at this point in time, was Mr. Wolfenbarger under arrest at all?
No.
Okay. And did he speak to you?
Yes, he did.
Now, have you had the opportunity to view this videotape in preparation for your testimony?
I did.
Now, tell the jury about the sound quality on this particular video.
So I did view the video, and the sound, at least on the device that I was listening to, was very difficult to hear for myself. I have a report, so I was reviewing the notes of it. It seems to correspond, but again, the audio is difficult for me to comprehend.
Okay. And have you had opportunity to listen to?
For heaven's sake, might we invite the wrath of our Lord, Savior, final form Jesus, because the following audio will be brought to us by a Casio speak and spell and a ham sandwich.
The key-keeped grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
Your tax dollars at work. Let's continue.
And watch it in preparation for your testimony today.
I did.
All right, permission to approach your honor.
Granted.
I want to quote what the mark states exhibit 72. Tell me if you recognize exhibit 72.
This is, yes, I did.
How do you recognize it?
I initialed and dated it.
Is that the 2001 video that we just referenced?
Yes, it is.
And does that video appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the interview you conducted with Mr. Wolfenbarger in September 2001?
Yes, it is.
Do it appear to be any addition or deletion?
No.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to admit exhibit 76.
Mr. McDermott, Mr. Samuel,
No objection.
72 is admitted.
Thank you. And permission to publish.
Permission granted.
Come on, you can hurry up. Mosey is strong. Oh,
Connected to QHCP 541.
Is this the interview? It is pretty much the sound quality throughout the most of the video. Okay. Did you take notes about your conversation with Mr. Wolfenbarger?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So when you met with him, was he able to give you kind of a history of when they first met?
I got nothing. Not one thing. I hope the jury was able to understand that gobbledygook. I mean, you would think if it's nearly inaudible, they would add closed captions or at least try to include a transcript. But this is ridiculous.
Yes.
Okay. What did he tell you about when they first met?
He said that he first met Melissa when she was 15.
And did he tell you how he had met her?
He said that she had run away from home, but I don't recall any, details much beyond that.
And was he able to tell you whether or not they were married or not?
Yes.
Were they married?
Yes, they were.
Okay. And when did they get married?
And he said 1992 or 95.
Okay. He said 92 or 95.
And I noted 95, I believe, in my report, so I don't know if we clarified that.
Was he able to tell you if they had children?
Yes.
And how many children did he tell you that they had?
2.
Now, did he tell you about where they lived?
He did.
Okay. And where did he tell you that they lived?
Now, I will say this is incredibly odd. Usually a defense attorney, unless they have stipulated, would ask that they refresh their memory and then, answer, not basically just read from their report. That being said, there might have been a stipulation because of the intervening years between this being a cold case. I mean, this case basically started for this detective in 2000. So, it might be something that they stipulated, but this isn't very usual. Generally, a judge won't just let you read from your report like he's kind of doing.
I believe they were living with his mother at that time.
Did there ever come a time where they moved from his family's home?
I don't see a notation for that. I don't recall that.
Do you recall him telling you that they lived at 824 Brookline Street in Atlanta, Georgia?
Yes,
Okay, is that contained within your report?
yes.
Okay. Did he tell you about where he worked?
I think he did discuss some of his employment. Let me check the notes for clarification. Yes, he was working for a glass company.
And did he tell you where the glass company was?
I don't see a notation for that.
Okay. You're on permission to approach?
Permission granted.
Oh my goodness gracious. Things could go better for the
To
state.
this line right here.
Yes, I did see that. He provided that the glass company was on Avon Street, but I don't have a city or any other location for it.
Okay. And did he tell you about where Melissa worked?
Yes,
Where did he tell you Melissa worked?
on Waffle House in Doraville.
Now, did he discuss to you about his relationship with Melissa around November, December 1990?
Yes,
What do you recall him telling you about his relationship with Melissa around that time?
that they were together around the November, December timeframe of '98.
Did he tell you anything about being separated but then getting back together? God bless you.
He stated that they were together for about a month in that time, and so I don't want to misstate your question. I don't know that we discussed so much being separate. He just indicated they were together for about a month, which might imply that, but
I'm gonna approach you again.
You don't have to ask every time for the same witness. Thank you.
I'm gonna direct you to.
he did indicate they were separate and they gotten together for about a month at that time.
Okay.
Ms.
But you,
Hilton, I'm sorry for interrupting. Can you take down the screen share, please?
oh, sure. Sorry.
Thank you.
But did you notate that he told you they got separated but got back together around Thanksgiving 1998?
Yes.
All right.
Now, in this case, there are allegations of DV, and Chris does look culpable for that. At least there was a police report made. Melissa got a temporary restraining order, but dropped it a week later. Now, there are discrepancies about her motivation for doing this. And one of the big things that her family has put forward is that she wanted to have a family for her children. But the same day that she dropped the restraining order on Christopher, she signed over her parental rights to Christopher's mother. So again, there is a lot of contradictory information that the family has put out there in the intervening years. I don't know whether that's to save Melissa's reputation. Again, maybe they thought that the world would judge her harshly if they knew that she had willingly given up her parental rights, or maybe it was something they deeply disagreed with. But there is plenty of evidence that she willingly gave over custody to Christopher's mother. So kind of the family's protestations that she would have never left her children, that she would have stayed in touch, that she wanted to create a family for the children, have been really contradicted by the defense, even without the mother or Christopher's mother having testified yet, at least to me. There's just been so much contradictory evidence that understand why the jury probably threw out most of the family's testimony.
And then according to him, did he tell you when Melissa moved out?
Yes,
When did he tell you that she moved out?
around Christmas of 1998.
Now, after she moved out, did he tell you if he ever saw Melissa again?
He did.
Okay. What did he tell you about when he saw Melissa again?
He stated that he saw Melissa walking on Lee Street in Atlanta several months after that she had left, so sometime in 1999.
Do you recall him telling you approximate month about when he saw her in 1999?
I don't recall it. I'll review the report.
Do you recall him telling you it was between either March or April of 1999?
I don't recall that, and I don't know that I notated the specific month.
And where are you coming up with this? Were you able to
What did he
decipher
tell you
the
about
audio?
when he saw her in 1999?
That she was walking on Lee Street, that she didn't look particularly well, that had indications of possible drug use.
Was he able to tell you if she was with someone, dating someone?
She said he didn't say that she was with someone walking, but he did say that she may have been involved with someone named Mike, whom she worked with at the Waffle House in Louisville.
In 2001, regarding the last time he saw her, did he only tell you that he saw her walking down the street?
Yes.
Did he tell you about anything about where she was going?
No.
Did he tell you, if you can recall, about what their conversation was?
No.
Did he tell you why he never made a report as to why she was missing?
No.
But neither did the family until 2 years later.
Did he tell you anything about whether or not he contacted her family to let them know that she was missing?
He stated that he didn't contact her family, or wasn't in contact with her family.
And did he give you a reason why he didn't contact her family?
He stated that they did not get along or they didn't like him.
This juncture,
Oh,
when you interviewed him, do you know where he was living?
In case I have it, he stated he lived at 824 Brookline.
Did you have an address that you notated in your report for him at the bottom of your report?
507 Kenny Drive, Hinesville.
Okay. So at the time, do you know if he was still living on Brookline or if he was living on
I
Hinesville?
don't know. The report, it may be referencing that stated that, or they lived at Brookline, so maybe when they're together they were at Brookline, maybe he was at this other address.
I couldn't.
Sorry, you're actually getting in front of the microphone.
sorry.
That's okay.
Apparently, in the report, I indicated that he and Melissa both lived down Brookline, and at the end, I have a different address, so that the Brookline address may have been referenced to when they were together.
Thank you.
And is it safe to say that what you have in your report is a summary of parts of that interview?
These are bullet points.
And would the interview contain everything that you all actually discussed?
That's right.
Okay.
that you can't and you
After
can't
speaking
figure
with
out.
Mr. Wolfenbarger, did you speak with any of his family?
Yes.
And who did you speak with?
His sister, Kimberly.
And did she provide you information regarding Melissa at that time?
Yes.
Now I want to take you to December of 2001.
2001.
Did you meet with anyone in December of 2001?
December.
With the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office?
Okay, yes, December 27th.
Okay. And who did you meet with?
Mary Beth Hopdahl, or Hepdahl,
And do you recall why in December you met with her?
to document dental records for Melissa Wolfenbarger.
Now, are these dental records that you received?
Yes.
In December 2001, did you do anything else with the dental records?
So once they were entered into this document to where they could be placed in the national database, I gave that to one of our communications records personnel at the police department so it could be entered.
You said it was put into a national database. What type of national database?
I think it, like NCIC is what a program that we have for missing persons or stolen cars.
So it took a year, a year almost for you to get this into the database, just like it took you 6 months or 8 months to look into the employment records of both Melissa and Chris. I mean, I get that there are probably a numerous amount of missing people in Atlanta, but that it took you a year is kind of concerning to me. Again, I have no idea how this functions. Maybe a year is quick in police time in Atlanta, but it seems insanely slow to me here.
Cars or anything like stolen property, all of that. So it's a database where a road officer or any officer can call in a person's ID and they'll note that if they're reported missing or a stolen object or whatever it may be. My understanding of this was that the pathologists or the doctors were able to chart or make some type of notation regarding dental records that could be entered in this. So if another agency had remains that were unidentified, they could cross-reference this and it might help them to pull the cases together to further seek identification.
And did you do that? Did you put her dental records on NCIC?
Yes.
After December of 2001, excuse me, is it in December of 2001 when you put her dental records on NCIC?
Yes, December 31st was when the document that Ms. Hepdahl helped produce was provided to our communications people, who are the persons that would enter it into that system.
After December 30th, 2001, and the dental records are placed into NCIC, when is the next part of your investigation in this case?
March 13th of 2003.
So almost 18 months later again, after the records go into NCIC.
Yes.
What occurred in March of 2003?
Dr. Carol Terry contacted me regarding the records, and I ended up meeting with her and bringing the records so that she could review them.
Okay. And what date is that in March of 2003?
March 13th.
And Dr. Terry, where was she a medical examiner?
Yes.
Where did she work?
Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office here in Atlanta.
You said here in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
Okay. And when you met with Dr. Terry, did you meet with her at the Fulton County Medical Examiner's
Yes, I
Office?
did.
Was there anyone else present with the two of you when you all met?
Mainly the two of us. We were in their office, so there were other people around, but I believe I only recall speaking with primarily her, and if there was somebody else there, they weren't involved in it, and I didn't make any notation of it.
And during that meeting, was she able to provide you with information regarding unidentified human remains?
Yes.
After that meeting on March 13th,
And for those of you just coming in on this case, basically there were unidentified remains found in 1998 near where Chris Wolfenbarger used to work and also where they used to live. I mean, I think it was within 500 yards of both places where remains, and I use that term, not complete remains, but basically the first item found was a skull in the middle of the street. It looked like it had been wrapped in double black trash or plastic bags, but an animal had gotten into it. So in 1998, they, took the skull. Now, some of the markers had kind of similar values, so they misidentified this skull as possibly belonging to a young male, not a young female, Well, several weeks later, they go around looking for other remains and they do find arms and legs. They have never found the torso of Melissa. All of these body parts were double bagged in black trash bags. Now, there was still no indication that the skull belonged to these limbs. So there was some sort of discrepancies about the medical examiner not placing these disparate body pieces together and having labeled it a man. In 2003, Melissa's father was actually indicted for 5 murders that he and his wife, Norma, participated in, perpetrated in the 1970s. Through DNA, he was linked to these remains because they turned out to be Melissa's. Well, he basically pled to every case that involved him and his wife. Norma got immunity for testifying against Carl, but basically said there was no involvement for him with Melissa, his daughter. And ever since then, Carl and Norma have kind of been on a campaign. Now, Carl has since passed away, but Norma has been on a campaign for many years to indict Melissa's husband, Christopher, for her death. Now, there was a history of DV in the marriage. They were both incredibly young. It seemed like it was a rather chaotic marriage. Both of the children were living with Chris's mother, and both Chris and Melissa signed over their parental rights to Chris's mother. That being said, that is only the tip of the craziness in this case. I do have a 17-minute video that kind of breaks down all of this case because it is wilder than this coming season of Sister Wives, just with the amount that you kind of have to digest to get all of this. And I kind of gave you the extremely abbreviated version. The state is running into problems where their witnesses, especially the family members, have been shown to have motives to want to get Chris indicted. Obviously, there would be the logical, emotional one of having a deep-seated belief that this person took their daughter away. But also, it turned out that Norma had signed a contract with Netflix to make a documentary kind of documenting the family's kind of trip in the infamous Flint River murder case to Chris Wolfenbarger's eventual, and I'm guessing in Norma's hopes, indictment. And this came out about mid-trial. So this case is all the crazy and perfect for the Petty Express off the rails because it is pretty much off the rails. But that's kind of, if you're a bit at sea, you're kind of confused as to what in the Walmart rapture is going on with this case. That's basically what is going on here. It is a Walmart, what in the Walmart rapture kind of case.
Did you send anything to Dr. Terry?
Yes, I did.
What did you send to her?
A written copy of the dental records pertaining to Melissa Wolfenbarger
And how did you send that information to her?
by fax.
And after you sent those dental records, did you receive information on the identity of the skull that they were trying to identify?
Yes.
Once the skull was identified, what day was it identified?
March 14th, 2003.
So the same day you sent over the dental records, the same day it was
Yes.
identified? Did you discuss any investigative tool or testing that could be done on the skull?
We talked about DNA testing.
Now, once the remains were identified, just answer yes or no, did you attempt to locate Chris?
Yes.
And did you locate him?
Yes.
All right. I want to take you to March of 2003. Did you have an opportunity to interview Chris Wolfenbarger again?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What day was that?
I don't have a report on that. I don't have a summary for that one, but it was it was at the Gwinnett County Jail. I'm sorry.
Tinker Lou, so this is a crazy case. I do have about a 17-minute video because it is kind of that dense, but the too long didn't read is that about 1998, a human skull was found several weeks to a couple months later. Limbs were found very close. Now, they turned out to be identified in 2003 as Melissa Wolfenbarger. Now, Melissa Wolfenbarger, at the time of her disappearance, was married to Chris Wolfenbarger. Now, the sort of twist in this case that takes it from normal, everyday kind of court drama to what in the Walmart rapture is that in 2003, the parents of Melissa Wolfenbarger, Norma and Carl Patton Jr., Carl was indicted as the Flint River Killer in Georgia, responsible for 5 deaths in the 1970s. Norma was implicated and confessed to helping after the fact and pre-planning some of these murders. Now, she was given immunity in exchange for her testimony against her husband. Well, due to her husband being identified many years later through kind of DNA and cold case techniques, it linked him to the remains that had been misidentified as possible male remains of his daughter found in 1998. Now, since Carl Patton's guilt and multiple life sentences, Norma Patton has been kind of on a crusade, wrongly thinking that if only they got Christopher Wolfenbarger indicted for Melissa's murder, Carl could get parole. Again, I don't know how you square this, but if you watch her testimony, which I think was the last in this playlist that I covered, she genuinely believed that if they were able to get Christopher indicted for Melissa's red rum and dismemberment, that Carl would be able to walk free from his 5 red rums. Now, unfortunately, Carl died, and Norma kind of became very popular in some podcast cold case circles, to the point where public pressure was placed, I guess, to bring this case forward against Christopher. The investigation in the first place was horrible. There has been lost evidence, lost video. Chris Wolfenbarger, since we are watching this from the future or from the past at this point, he was found not guilty. So now I am watching this to try to figure out what in the Walmart rapture the jury saw. And apparently nothing they could trust from the state of Georgia. So I would recommend, though, if you want kind of a deeper understanding, I do have that longer video that really does explain it. And I'm going to need at least an entire, beautiful mind's worth of chalkboards to murder board this out after this trial, because what in the hell?
Was it close in time to when the head was identified?
Again, I don't have a date, so
Did anyone go with you to interview Chris?
Detective Calhoun,
And where did Detective Calhoun work at the time?
I believe Atlanta Police.
And during that interview, were you the primary person leading that interview?
Yes, I was.
At that time, strike that. Tell the jury briefly about your kind of interview style when you interview individuals.
Every interview that I do, I'm trying to obtain truthful information, so I try to speak to everyone respectfully for one thing, and take what they're providing as factual information until it can be proven otherwise. So I just sit down with a person like I would sit down with anybody in any circumstance and ask them questions and stuff. If it gets to a point where there's some contradictory information or something that appears to be a problem in there, we definitely might confront them about that or go further into detail about it. But for the most part, I try to be, have a good rapport with them and just sit down and ask logical questions and take what they provide as factual information.
Now, when you interviewed him, did you allow him to kind of lock him into a version before telling him whether or not Melissa was found or not?
Well, was just reviewing and obtaining the history that he provided again, which we did. And then later at the end or near the end of the interview, he was informed that Melissa had been identified.
And was he able to give you a history again of their relationship
Yes,
leading up to the last time he saw her?
yes,
During the course of that interview, do you recall him talking about her father?
yes.
What, if anything, did Chris tell you about Melissa's relationship with her father?
I think that that they didn't have a really good relationship, that they didn't communicate, I think.
Do you recall him telling you that she loved her father?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall him telling you that?
I'm going to object to the leading.
Rephrase.
Do you remember asking him whether or not her father could do something like this?
I don't, no.
Now, also, there are allegations from the defense, and again, I haven't looked into Carl Patton's crimes. I am trying to dig into that. Probably going to do that in between when I finish this stream and get ready for Shizzy's stream tonight. But there are indications because the body parts were found in black trash bags. Carl Patton is alleged to have disposed of some of his victims in black trash bags. Also, all 5 of the victims in Carl's crimes were either partners of crime with him or close relatives, friends, or people that threatened to go to the cops on him. Now, Chris Wolfenbarger's mother, according to the defense, when she testifies, is going to say that Melissa explicitly signed over custodial rights to Chris's mother because her parents were bad people. And there are allegations that Melissa knew about her parents' past, and to get out of some legal trouble that she was currently in, she was going to turn against her parents. Again, the timelines in this are all crazy. Depending on what family member you ask, no one knows anything. And I don't think that calendars are actually a thing in Georgia anymore, having tried to deal with this case and the YSL case even tangentially. So I don't know, but I'm gonna pray for you, Atlanta.
Do you
And
remember
this
him
is at
in this interview
1.25 speed.
discussing about them trying to work on their relationship in the end or December of 1990?
I don't specifically recall it, and I'd have, again, I did review that interview, but I don't recall his exact statements.
Do you remember him telling you about the last time he saw Melissa?
Yes.
What do you recall about him telling you about the last time he saw Melissa?
He stated that he saw her walking from around the train station, and that he didn't initially recognize her, I believe.
Do you remember him telling you when he saw her?
No, I don't.
Do you remember if he told you that this was again in March or April of
This
19?
is leading. He doesn't remember it. Now she's answering the question for him.
Fair
But I'm
point.
asking-
Y'all come here for a second.
Give your business.
Now, excuse me. There were some credible reports of DV between Chris and Melissa. So Chris did have a propensity for, there to be, violence there, and it has been reported.
if you'll please repeat.
So it's not like he's the most innocent of pure driven snow, but they're basically using anecdotes out they lack any DNA and any DNA, any trace evidence. They tore apart the house where he and Melissa had been living 20 years after the fact, but still did, and could find no trace evidence of the place where allegedly Chris, attacked her, what happened, where he dismembered her, with what he dismembered her. Again, while a lot of things do sort of, infer that he did it, the state had nothing near enough to point beyond a reasonable doubt. And
Here's your
it's
question,
sad.
Ms. Hilton.
Do you recall in an interview if it was any months after the last time he hit? Do you recall when it was?
I don't specifically recall when it might have been.
And have you had the opportunity to view that interview in its entirety? Or listen to that interview, excuse me?
I did listen to it.
Okay. And in listening to that interview, did that appear to be a complete and accurate depiction of that interview as you recall it back from 2003?
It does.
Was it too recorded on a Casio speak and spell in an 80s ham sandwich? Are we going to actually be able to watch something where we can hear it and not the gerba derba 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 of Swedish Chef? The amount of mosey in this courtroom, I know it's the South, but y'all, we are on 1.25.
Mark of 60 to 73. Looking at what's and on here, does it indicate the date of that interview?
Yes, it does.
What is the date of the interview?
March 18, 2003.
And again, I'm sure you remember this 2003. Did this appear to be the entirety of the interview that we just discussed?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time the state's going to admit Stacey's Exhibit 73 and will produce a hard copy for the court.
Mr. Samuel?
You speak so fast, but we don't have an objection to the tape.
Okay. Exhibit
It's not
73.
my understanding is there needs to be redactions at some point, but that's fine.
Yes.
Okay. Exhibit 73 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, after you met with Mr. Wolfenbarger, and you said you met with Detective Calhoun, met him with Detective Calhoun?
Yes.
And did you know where Detective Calhoun worked?
Atlanta Police Department.
And what was your understanding of Investigator Calhoun's role with relation to the remains that were found in Atlanta in 1999?
That he would take up the investigation at that point, now that the remains have been identified.
And at that point in March of 2003, did you then turn over your file and information to Detective
Thank
Calhoun?
you.
I don't recall specifically giving him the file, but, the case was more or less, or the aspect of the remains was out of our jurisdiction, so we didn't have any further involvement with it.
And from what you know, did Detective Calhoun then continue the investigation at that point?
As far as I know.
Of course, indulgence. No further question.
Thank you. Mr. Samuel?
You still go by detective or mister, or what do you prefer?
Tom is fine.
Tom. Well, Tom, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So just working backwards, the last time you spoke with Chris was, Mr. Wolfenbarger, was, there was a tape, but you didn't take any notes at all during the, so you're going by memory?
No, I listened to the audio. Unfortunately, if there was a report generated about it, which there should have been, I don't have, access to it or haven't been provided at this point. So that's the downside of that for me. I can't refer to it as I could the first one.
Yes.
So I only have, the audio, which I did listen to, and then trying to recall
When did
that.
Again, this is another example, and there have been numerous already in 4 days of trial where the state either didn't provide their witness all of the paperwork that the witness remembered creating in the course of their police work, or simply didn't have things. Again, this is a problem of a, older case, but if you know this going in, if you know that this is going to be an issue, then sending your witnesses in ill-prepared is simply unprofessional and ridiculous.
It's difficult.
It wasn't my hands. When was the last time you listened to it?
I was listening to part of it this morning, but I didn't make it completely through. I listened to it a couple of days ago as well.
Okay. And this was 22 plus years ago.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just have a couple questions for you. I want to talk to you about you talked about having met the grandparents and Pat and family. And then you met with Chris the first time on September 12th, 2001, right?
I think that's right, yes.
And where was that meeting?
Henry County Police Department.
Okay, so he came to the police department, just met with you because you asked him to come and he came to meet with you?
Right.
Okay. That was the day after 9/11.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Because it was September 12th, 2001.
Right.
Okay. Or I imagine a lot of our minds were in different places that day. And he told you about the background. He told you where they lived, right?
Yes.
824 Brookline. He told you that she had worked at the Waffle House in Doraville, right, Melissa?
Yes.
And I'm just going by your report because I can't listen to the audio either because it's totally inaudible, basically, that audio. He told you that the relationship was such that sometimes she would leave for days at a time,
Yes.
stayed at motels, including up near the Waffle House where she then worked.
Yes.
Okay. And there was when you were answering the prosecutor's questions, there was some concern about when he said he had last seen her. Your notes indicate that what he said was that she moved out in Christmas of '98, right?
Right.
Okay. And that he saw her one more time a few months later, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And this is when she was walking on the street, and later when you talked to him, whatever, 2 years later, he said it was heading towards the train station or outside the train station, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So he told you basically the same thing 2 years later when you talked to him up in Lawrenceville, correct?
That he saw her on the street on one occasion, and then more information that they spoke on the second occurrence,
Right. He said that she looked disheveled when he saw her that occasion?
Yes.
Okay. He also reported to you that he was aware that she had been involved with a man named Mike, right? He's from the Waffle House up in Doraville, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's when he mentioned that she was staying at a hotel with Mike, as far as he knew, correct?
The way I have it noted is that he said that she was involved with this person named Mike that worked at the Waffle House, and that I noted that one time when she left Mike, she was staying at a Shallowford Lodge. So,
Okay, very good. And then he also told you exactly where he lived, gave you the address. You mentioned that already, that he said he lived in Hinesville, gave you his phone number, gave you his address, all of which you noted in your report, right? Okay, so he wasn't hiding out where he was or using a fake name or anything like that,
not that I
correct?
know.
Okay. And of course, this was a missing persons report, so when eventually the medical examiner was able to take the dental records and compare it with the skull that had been located, it was no longer a missing persons report, right?
Right.
Which is why you were finished, basically.
Yes.
You did one more interview with Detective Calhoun, who we saw yesterday. Was he taking notes, do you know?
I don't recall.
How long was the first interview that we just rehearsed a little bit?
So the first one with the poor audio, is that
Correct.
about 30 minutes or so, I think?
Okay, you just have a one-page report, so obviously it's a summary, it's not a transcript, right?
Right.
The second interview up in Lawrenceville was quite a bit longer. The one that you did with Calhoun,
Was it a little
Detective
bit
Calhoun.
longer? That one, from listening to them, may have gone maybe 50-something minutes, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
No, nothing further.
Okay, thank you, sir. You may step down. Ms. Hilton, Mr. Samuel, can I come over for just a minute?
It is always disconcerting to see the height difference between the both of them. Now I know she's also wearing high heels.
Sergeant Leanne Lacoste.
Also, I would still like to register my complaint to the creator of this notebook. Who does this? I take copious amount of notes, as you guys can see with my terribly small serial killer handwriting. And the fact that I can't use the back part of the page without it going sideways, uphill, downhill, and everything is a waste of a good doggone notebook. Just thought I'd like to register my complaint with those of us who like, a lot of office, well, stationery. It is against my religion to waste this much paper.
Once you get there, before you have a seat, if you'll turn and face the deputy, he'll raise your right hand, he'll swear you in.
You swear to affirm to the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. That's true. You might see. Please state and spell your full name for the court, please.
Leanne, Liane, Elizabeth, Elizabeth, Lacoste, Lacoss.
And good morning. How are you currently employed?
I'm retired
And how long have you been retired?
since 2018.
Yes, I will. Sorry about that. I am working on understanding things, so let me work on that, and then let me see if I can make the playlist play in order. I'm gonna go in the back end and see if I can do that right now.
And where did you retire
But
from?
yeah, sure.
Atlanta Police Department,
And how long were you with the Atlanta Police Department prior to your retirement?
30 years.
Can you tell the jury briefly about your matriculation through the Atlanta Police Department?
Joined in 1988. From 89 to 99, I was in Uniform Patrol in Zone 6. I made Sergeant 99, was in Uniform Patrol as a Sergeant in Zone 4 until 2000. 2000, I went to Internal Affairs Sergeant, left there in 2003 and went to Homicide and stayed there the rest of my career.
Okay. And so how long did you serve as a sergeant in the homicide unit?
16 years.
And as a sergeant in the homicide unit, what are your primary duties, job duties and responsibilities?
I was in charge of, mainly in charge of the cold case and complex case unit, overseeing the cold cases. We also, I handle officer-involved shootings, and
And atheist aunt, no problem. And let me get you that. This is kind of a interesting case, so let me write down your tag and then give you a too long didn't read on this. Now it is a bit cray-cray in the space, so let me get that. And I am working on the playlist. So in 1998 in Georgia, a skull was found on Avon Street. It looked like, and according to detectives, but in a lost tape, that a dog had taken this skull out of the black trash bags that it had been dumped in and basically drew it out into the street. So in 1998, they found the skull, and because of all the decay and everything, they cleaned off the skull, looked at different markers, and identified it as possibly being male. Now, several months later, again, not without a lot of hurry, the police were sent out to look to see if any other body parts had been deposited. They were able to find arms and legs, with the police officer that found the arms and legs stating that she thought that the feet at least look female. Now, I don't know. But for many years, Fulton County didn't put the arms and legs together with the skull. They basically looked at it like it was two different cases. Now, for a long time, these were considered two different cases. Now, Melissa's parents called and reported her missing in 2000. So this is 2 years after the family will claim that they had seen her for the last time. Now, in 2000, basically, they kind of look for Melissa, but assume that she isn't an adult. And if she doesn't want to have contact with her family, then that's what happens. And the, unidentified remains kind of stayed kind of unidentified for a long time. Well, we flash forward to 2003, And in a weird turn of events, Melissa's father and his mother, or her mother, are indicted for the Flint River murders, a series of 5 murders in the 1970s that occurred in their part of rural Georgia. Now, Carl went on to be indicted for 5 cases of murder and pled guilty to all of those. Norma testified against Carl and received immunity. Now, when they were kind of linking all of these old murders to Carl, they managed to, through DNA, link him to these remains, and they were identified finally in 2003 as Melissa Wolfenbarger. Now, Norma has already testified for the state, but Norma, since 2003, has labored under, and she will tell you this quite plainly, under the delusional impression that if only she and Carl were able to get Chris indicted for the murder of Melissa, Carl would receive parole. So Norma kind of made it her life mission to go to a lot of cold case files, a lot of podcasts, kind of do the, crime con circuit and get Melissa's story out there. Well, eventually public outcry came to such a point that just this past year, they indicted Christopher with really no evidence. I mean, this case has been FUBAR. The first witness for the state almost couldn't remember and couldn't get up onto the witness stand. You have missing reports. You have audio of interviews that is garbled. You have the family members whose timeline is confusing and muddled. You have a lot of people that have conflicting sort of loyalties as to how they're testifying. It even came out during trial, right before Norma Patton testified, that she had signed a contract with Netflix. Now, she has said that she reneged on the contract, but a contract to basically film a true crime documentary that would follow the family's journey from the Flint River murders to Melissa and Chris's indictment. So this is an incredibly insane case, and it only seems to get more insane. Thus far, Chris is not, again, the most charitable or sympathetic person or defendant. There was credible evidence that there was DV in the relationship, and Chris had a protective order taken out against him. So it does seem that Melissa led an incredibly chaotic life, and we are not sure what led her to ending up, a skull and limbs in a trash bag with no torso. Regardless of whatever demon she was fighting, she didn't deserve to end up like this. But sadly, because of loss of evidence, lack of investigation when this case was, fresher, and the fact that Chris, the jury in this case found Chris not guilty, I'm kind of watching it to see what made the jury think that they couldn't trust the state's case. But that's kind of the too long didn't read atheist aunt. I do have a 17-minute video because this case is so what in the Walmart rapture that I am working on putting it in order. So I think I've got this correct. So I'm going to go put that playlist into order with the intro on top. And hopefully it's not a case of mind-bending schizophrenia to try to figure out this playlist.
Also filled on a day watch overseeing the active cases that came each day.
Now, as a sergeant, do you actively investigate cases?
No, ma'am.
If information comes in about a case, what, if anything, do you do with the information?
It depends totally on the information that comes in. If it's an active case, I would forward it to the appropriate investigator. If it's a cold case, depending on what the information is, I'll either assign it to a new investigator or try and follow up the information to see if it's worth assigning the case.
While you served as sergeant over the homicide unit, did you have the occasion to work with an investigator, A.B. Calhoun?
Yes, ma'am.
And was he one of the detectives assigned to the homicide unit while you were sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I want to take you back to 2003. Do you recall being called out to a home with cadaver dogs from an outside jurisdiction?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember where that house was?
I do not.
Do you remember the circumstances of what brought you to that location?
I believe Investigator Quinn called me to that location.
And what happened? Did you go to the location?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened once you got out there?
There had been as my understanding, I was told that there had been a search with cadaver dogs at that location that did not have any positive results. The dog did not hit on anything.
Were the cadaver dogs for the City of Atlanta Police Department or somewhere else?
Somewhere else.
Do you recall what other jurisdiction it was?
I do not.
Do you recall ever speaking with Investigator Calhoun about this incident when you went out to this home with the cadaver dogs?
I'm sure it was his case. I'm sure I talked to him at some point, but I don't recall doing it.
And you said Investigator Quinn. Who is Investigator Quinn?
Investigator David Quinn. He also worked with us on the cold case unit.
And back in 2003, did you ever assist Investigator Calhoun specifically with the investigation of Melissa Wolfenbarger?
In 2003, I don't recall doing anything on the case.
Say it again.
I don't recall doing anything in 2003 besides that response.
And to your knowledge, was there a response in relation to his case that he was investigating?
Yes, ma'am.
And at this time sitting here, do you know specifically which case it was in reference to that he was investigating?
The Melissa Wolfenbarger.
Now, I want to direct your attention to January of 2015. Did you have the occasion to become involved in some way in the Melissa Wolfenbarger investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you become involved in that investigation?
Norma and Tina Patton had contacted me and asked to meet with me about the case.
And at that time, was Investigator Calhoun still working with the Atlanta Police Department?
No, he had retired.
And once he retired, at that time, had you assigned the case to another investigator?
No, ma'am.
And did you meet with Norma and Tina Patton?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you meet with them?
Public Safety Headquarters.
You are welcome.
And what did you do once you met with Norma and Tina Patton?
I read the case. I requested I did not see the crime lab reports in there. I requested them. They had asked me to contact several people that had information possibly on the case. I did that. I called them.
And as you are kind of reviewing the case to assist, did you see any information about any latent fingerprints?
Later, yes, as I got the GBI reports.
Did those reports produce anything of any evidentiary value?
No,
Objection.
ma'am. Sorry.
Your response? What's the nature of the objection?
The confirmation clause.
Nope.
I'm asking, did it produce any evidentiary value? I'm not asking what was said in the report.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Did it produce anything of any evidentiary value?
No, ma'am.
When you met with Melissa and Tina, did they express concerns about Melissa's case?
Not Melissa, Norma, and Tina. Melissa is the missing person. You'd think the state would know that since they're charging a guy with her murder, but it's Fulton County.
Yes, ma'am.
What was your understanding of their concern?
That they were understandably upset that an arrest had not been made in the case.
And this is now in 2015.
Correct.
You said they provided you some names of individuals that you should follow up with. Did you follow with those individuals?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did you follow up with?
Diane Parrott was the first individual.
And to your knowledge, had Diane Parrott been interviewed previously in this investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall when she was first interviewed?
I do not.
Do you know if Investigator Calhoun interviewed her?
I do not know who interviewed her.
Did you get an opportunity to speak with Ms. Parrott?
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to speaking with Ms. Parrott, did you listen to any of her initial interviews?
No, ma'am.
What is the date that you interviewed Ms. Parrott?
January 12th, 2015,
And where did you interview her?
over the phone.
And was she able to provide you any information?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you record her interview?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you had the opportunity to listen to her interview in preparation for your testimony today?
Yes, ma'am.
Permission to approach.
Granted.
What, is she gonna play the interview?
No, she's approaching the witness for the foundation,
But I do intend to play the interview.
but we're not there yet, so.
Michelle, you want to mark Stacy Exhibit 74? Tell me if you recognize Stacy Exhibit 74.
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize Stacy Exhibit 74?
It's got my initials in today's deal.
Okay. And is that, does that contain the interview that you had with Ms. Parrott back in January of 2015?
Yes, ma'am.
And did it appear to be the full interview with Ms. Parrott?
Yes, ma'am.
Any additions or deletions?
No, ma'am.
Around this time, stick with like in this Exhibit 74.
Mr. McDermott,
Excuse me? I didn't hear what she said.
she's offered to admit Exhibit 74. Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, Exhibit 74 is admitted.
Well, hold on, I do object, Your Honor. She's wanting to enter the whole statement, and there's a confrontation right in that.
Yes.
Interesting. I will say I have found this judge to be incredibly fair, thoughtful, and knowledgeable in the law and case law that she is covering. So I have had no complaints with this judge.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to step out. I was getting ready to take a morning break anyway, so we're going to go ahead and take that morning break. It's 10:51. We're going to try and have you back in here about 11:05, 11:10, and then we'll resume. Thank you all. You are excused until 11:05. Deputy, if you'll escort the jury out.
All right, but you're...
You can be seated. Okay, sir, I'm sorry, ma'am, officer, detective, I'm not sure exactly what to call you. Sergeant, I think it was. He'll step outside for just a moment. Thank you. Okay, so the state has requested to offer Exhibit 74, which I understand is a recording of an interview with Ms. Parrott. And when I asked if the defense had any objection, Mr. McDermott indicated that he did have an objection. We approached, and at sidebar, there was some discussion. I was like, I thought I'd already ruled on this. And then there was some discussion about these are statements that the defense requested to have in evidence, perhaps because of the rule of completeness. Mr. McDermott indicates that he's still asserting a confrontation right. And it seemed complicated enough that I thought we needed to sort it out. So, Ms. Hilton?
Yes, Your Honors. Yes, last Monday, defense counsel asked for a portion of Ms. Parrott's statement to come in. The court ruled that based on the residual hearsay, it could come in. There's guaranteed the trustworthiness within that statement. At that point, the state decided, based on the court's ruling, that we would move forward in playing the statement, given the court's
Have a
ruling.
great afternoon,
However,
Joshua.
given the rule of completeness, that both the statement that defense counsel asked to put in and the entirety of the statement would be appropriate to put in based on the rule of completeness, Your Honor.
Okay. So part of the conversation that Mr. McDermott asserted at the bench was that the rule of completeness is not a waiver. Generally speaking, I mean, I agree with him that, you know, just because one party wants to offer one thing, the other party is allowed to say, but for context, you have to have this, this, and this. That doesn't necessarily mean the whole thing has to be played, but if that's your choice, you can. So now that means I need to entertain Mr. McDermott's objections to particular portions of that statement.
Sure, so we asked the court the statement regarding, did she ever see any bruises or marks on Melissa's body? And she says no, and that she would have been looking if, in fact, so she would have seen it. The state is wanting to play this, I assume, because at another portion of that interview, Ms. Parrott talks about the story that Tina Patton told regarding the time Christopher was in the Waffle House, allegedly had said something about he knows how to hide a body. And so I think they're wanting to play that so that they can corroborate Tina's story. That is completely unrelated to the other issue we brought up. It is not needed to complete any alleged mischaracterization or context of the other issue we brought up. And so I'm asserting the confrontation right still in that portion of the interview.
So a couple of questions. One, is that the purpose? I mean, what in her statement is relevant that you know, that the state wishes to use it for?
So we believe that the statement in its entirety talks about the relationship between Mr. Wolfenbarger and Melissa back in the late 90s, 2000. They ask specifically about bruising, but it also talks about their relationship, which I think understanding her statement about bruising in context with the dynamics of their relationship is what is important. So it's a 5-minute interview that's held, but because of what is not just the physical seeing it, she also talks about other parts of their relationship, which I think puts that part in context.
Okay. Regarding Mr. McDermott's objection, at least in part, as to statements by Ms. Parrott about, is it something that Ms. Parrott says she was a part of, or that she is relating that she was told that by Tina Patton?
No, she was a part of. So she was a part of the conversation about Mr. Wolfenbarger. So she was there and present. That's the question.
No. So my understanding, Mr.
No. If Tina told her what happened with Christopher and Melissa in the Waffle House confrontation, that's hearsay. And then for Miss Parrott to repeat it is double hearsay. Again, Miss Parrott wasn't involved in the Waffle House conflagration that Tina talks about. So they cannot get that in.
Mr. McDermott at least has characterized
I'm
that
not a
part of what Ms.
lawyer,
Parrott is
but
recounting is this
that's what I
thing that
understand.
Tina Patton testified to about Mr. Wolfenbarger saying, I know where to hide a body. And my question is
Howdy,
Ms. Parrott relating that Tina told her that, or is she saying that she was a part of the conversation with Mr. Wolfenbarger and heard Mr. Wolfenbarger say that?
She's saying she heard him say it.
Okay.
But it's still unrelated. The confrontation right, when it's used, does not give you a blanket open door to the entire statement.
It's still non-testimonial, though. I mean, at least, I understand she's providing the statement that she's relating.
Of course it's testimonial. It's a statement of the police.
I know, I just realized that. I'm sorry, I was thinking about her relating it to Ms. Patton.
And she's unavailable to Your Honor. Ms. Parrott is deceased.
I'm aware of that.
So if I can have a few moments, because I didn't know this was an issue, we brought it up to defense counsel, but anyway, I get why he objected at this point in time, but if I could just have a brief moment to research the issue so that I can see if there's any case law, one way or the other.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
She's going to take a minute to look at the issue further.
So do you want to take a 30-minute recess?
No, I told the jury that I was going to give them until 11:05 or 11:10, so conduct yourselves accordingly. I do have a search warrant to take up, though, so I'm going to step off the bench for a minute and deal with that. Officer, if you'll come around,
I like this judge. She is not happy with the state. Again, the state should have taken care of this. They are doing.
However, in looking at Carlson's on evidence, specifically under the best evidence rule, within it they discuss a case out of the Arizona Supreme Court, which is persuasive authority, in which the Arizona Supreme Court, and this is in case State v. Now spell it, I think it's Prasert-Fong, Prasert-Phong, 210 Arizona 496. That the Arizona Supreme Court held that a criminal defendant waived his Sixth Amendment right to the introduction of the remainder of a co-defendant's testimonial statement where he himself introduced portions thereof. Condemning the defendant's entreaty to hold otherwise, the court remarked such a position transforms the confrontation clause from a shield to a sword. So in looking at that, what defense counsel has asked to do is to play a portion of her statement, which would be a foul of, for them, the confrontation clause, because they want half of it.
interrupting you, but I follow your argument, but they've said they want to offer it, but they haven't actually offered it.
Correct. And what we were doing was trying to avoid that. Now, the state can wait and see if the defense counsel offers the statement themselves and whether they play it on redirect or if they play it within their own case in chief and then ask for the rest of the portion to be played at that point in time.
Mr. McDermott?
So what was the date on that court case?
This is a 2005 case.
2005. And that was effectively the issue that was taken up in Hemphill v. New York by the United States Supreme Court in 2021. A defendant wanted to make reference to statements that were made, I believe it was at a plea hearing, and they were favorable to him. And then when the state moved to bring in the rest of the transcript or whatever, other statements from the plea hearing, he said, no, I have a confrontation right now. And the United States Supreme Court upheld it. So whatever the Arizona Supreme Court thought about swords versus shields is irrelevant in light of what the United States Supreme Court said.
Ooh, mic
And
drop.
it goes a little deeper than that when you start talking about, well, no, I guess it really doesn't. It's the rule of completeness is discussed in that case. The court didn't decide on that issue, and there was some discussion of that issue in the concurrences and dissents. And so it is an undecided issue, but as the law stands currently, you can quote part and still reserve your confrontation right in the remaining parts of the statement. And the only exceptions I would think that there would be to that is if you're quoting part and leaving out a part that creates a mischaracterization. And that would have to be on the same issue, and that's not what's in play here.
And if I may, I also note that according to Carson's, and this was his 8th edition, that it appears the 11th Circuit, according to Carson, is moving in the direction of the more inclusive line of cases that hold that Rule 106 authorizes the admission of otherwise objectionable evidence. If doing so serves the purposes of the rule. So again, kind of in line with this Arizona case, it appears that the 11th Circuit is attempting to move in that direction, being more inclusive. If the defendant wants to play part of a statement that would otherwise be inadmissible, then allowing all of it to come in based upon the rule of evidence.
Interesting. I kind of like this. I do say I have been impressed by this
I'm trying
defense.
to get to a couple of cases.
It was real slow for me this morning, though.
And inaccurate for me in the search.
Well,
The state has offered, having now had a chance to look at the Hemp Hill case, and having considered what the state has offered, I don't find, I don't find anything. I think Mr. McDermott's characterization of what the court said in Hemp Hill is accurate, and that to the extent the 11th Circuit has talked about waiver in the context of Hemp Hill, it's only done it once. And they're talking about the difference between implied and express waivers. And while I have very real concerns about the ability of a defendant to say, I want to play this part, but I invoke my confrontation right on this part, that seems fundamentally unfair and sounds a lot like a waiver to me. So far, that hasn't actually happened. The defendant hasn't offered that testimony, number one. And number two, if they did, it does seem like Hemp Hill would caution the court against finding an express waiver. So for now, I think Mr. McDermott is correct that there is a confrontation right in terms of the state's. It is the statement, just to clarify my record, because I incorrectly said a few minutes ago, the statement is clearly testimonial in nature. We have a law enforcement officer who's going to testify to having discussed this, and it's an audio recording of that individual speaking to law enforcement. So I don't think there's any dispute that Mr. Wolfenbarger would have a confrontation right. That person is unavailable. But the request by the defense and the ruling by the court that her statements would potentially be admissible as to residual hearsay based on what she observed, I don't think changes the outcome here in terms of the ruling in favor of the defense that this is confrontation.
And thank you for that, Your Honor, but it is the same statement to the same law enforcement officer describing her observations. Nothing changed, so it's admissible under the residual hearsay for the defendant. We would ask that the same confrontation clause issue is still there, and if the defense is allowed to bring in their portion for their particular purposes, we would ask that the court reconsider allowing any of the statement in, because
I may very well not allow any of the statement in because, as I said, I have read Hemp Hill, but I still have real concerns about the ability of a defendant to cherry pick his confrontation rights. And so, to be clear, if Mr. Wolfenbarger chooses to offer that evidence affirmatively in some manner, the court may find that that constitutes an express waiver of his confrontation rights. But right now, Mr. Wolfenbarger hasn't offered that testimony. The state doesn't have a confrontation right. So the only thing that I was asked to rule on previously was whether or not that statement would constitute residual hearsay, and I think it would, and that's why I said it could be offered. But at the time, the defense was attempting to offer it, and no one was invoking confrontation because the defense wanted to offer it affirmatively.
okay.
Is that clear?
Yes, Your Honor, very
As clear as it can be anyway?
It's as clear as it can.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So does that mean, what do we need to do with this witness, practically speaking? Do you need to have her back on the stand to conclude your examination?
I do need to complete my examination, and then I believe I admitted it. I don't think I can
Actually, you
recall it.
offered it, but Mr. McDermott objected, and the court hasn't ruled on that objection. That's where we stopped to have this conversation.
All right, so I'm assuming the court is going to sustain their objection and not allow the state to.
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm not going to allow.
Did we just hear a substain instead of sustain? Because I swear to goodness gracious and flapjacks, if she too was infected by Daryl Brooks, because sometimes I find myself saying substained instead of sustained.
So I'm assuming the court is going to sustain their objection and not allow the state
Okay.
to.
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm not going to allow its admission.
Thank you.
So we're ready for that witness then and the jury?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Your Honor, if I get on cross in just a couple of minutes and then attempt to elicit the statement that was previously allowed, are we going to have this discussion all over again?
We might. I mean, I think I've just said out loud, I've read Hemphill. I understand what it says, but I have very real concerns about the ability of a defendant to cherry pick their confrontation rights and to offer a part of a statement without invoking confrontation and then seeking to invoke confrontation to prevent the state from offering the full context of that statement. And I mean, we might need to make a further record of it, but I'm just trying to guide you that if you offer that statement, the state, I believe, I expect, is going to seek, based on Ms. Hilton's representations a moment ago, to play the remainder of it. And I very well might find that Mr. Wolfenbarger has waived his confrontation rights as to that statement by affirmatively offering that witness's statement and evidence. And again, I think it would be different if we were talking about an hours-long statement by a witness who was talking about lots of things that might or might not be relevant. But we're talking about a 5-minute statement that could probably be even pared down further, that are about that particular now deceased, through no fault of anyone else's, unavailable witness, testimony about what she personally observed and what statement she personally heard the defendant make. That's my understanding of the characterization of that statement. That Ms. Parrott, what the state wants and what you want.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have the witness back, please? And Deputy, we're ready for the jury.
And the defense might just decide that it is not worth it to try to get the one statement of her, saying she never saw any bruises, or they might decide that it's important enough to get, this witness to say she didn't see anything, and let the story from Tina in if they are already gauging that the jury didn't trust anything the family has said, based on kind of shifting during cross-examination and just different markers. So it is a gamble.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the delay. Ms. Hilton, when we adjourned, the state had offered Exhibit 74 into evidence, to which Mr. Wolfenbarger had objected, and the court is going to sustain that objection. 74 will not be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
After speaking with Diane, did you speak with anyone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did you speak with?
Christina Wolfenbarger,
And how did you speak with her?
by phone.
And was she able to provide you information regarding this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, after speaking with Christine and Diane, did you do anything else as it relates to this investigation?
Yes, ma'am. I put together a synopsis and submitted it to the district attorney's office.
You said you put together a
A
synopsis.
synopsis of the case, I'm sorry.
And at that time, did the district attorney's office move forward with any charges?
No, ma'am.
And did you inform Ms. Patton of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Once you informed her that at that time the district attorney wasn't going to move forward with any charges, did she ask for you to interview anyone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did she ask for you to interview?
Rachel Karen Nelson Tucker and Kimberly Cameron.
And did you interview those people?
I could not locate Ms. Cameron. I talked to Ms. Nelson.
And in late December 2016, did you receive a call from an investigator, St. John?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection. Privileged information.
Yep. Your Honor, we can approach. I can just let the court know where I'm going.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. This isn't something that they have discussed.
Overruled. Go ahead, Ms. Hilton.
Did you speak with an investigator, St. John?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was he an investigator?
Suwannee County, Florida.
And did he provide you information for you to follow up on?
Yes, ma'am.
And then yes or no, did you speak with a Pastor Mike Parson?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you speak with that person in January 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
After January 2017, did you conduct any additional investigation in this case?
No, ma'am.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. McDermott?
Did I understand you correctly to testify that you were part of the cadaver dog search team that was at the house?
No, I was at the house, but I wasn't part of any team. Could have a
Okay.
search team.
The cadaver dog search team was from another jurisdiction?
Correct.
Okay. And you said they did perform a search
Yes,
of the property, and they found nothing?
correct.
Okay. And were you there when they performed the search?
I do not recall.
Okay. You said you put together a synopsis of the case?
Yes, sir.
Did that include a review of the crime lab reports?
The ones that I had at that time, yes.
Okay. And you said you did not file any charges at that time?
That's correct.
All right. No further questions?
Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Hilton?
Nothing from the state.
Thank you, Ms. Epstein.
Thank you.
Ms. Hilton, state may call its next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls investigator Richard Stein.
Okay. Get.
The moment that you're about to hear the truth, the whole truth, and everything she said, yeah, it's not see. Please state the scale of the full name for the court, please.
Richard Stein, and my last name is Stein.
Mr. Stein, can you tell the court how you are currently employed?
I'm currently a captain with the Chattahoochee Hills Police Department
How long have you been employed with Chattahoochee Hills?
for 2 years now.
Okay. What do you do as a captain there?
I oversee patrol and investigative functions.
All right. Prior to that, where were you employed?
I was employed by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. I was an assistant chief for, I want to say, probably about 2 years.
Okay.
And then I first started the DA's office. I was an investigator, and I was just a standard investigator. I came in under Paul Howard back in 2019.
2019. Okay. Are you familiar with when Paul Howard came into office? You familiar with that?
I know that he was in office for, I want to say, I believe it was like close to 30 years.
Okay.
If you would, sir, I apologize. Just get a little closer to that microphone.
Sure.
Thank you.
I believe Paul Howard at that time, I want to say was in for approximately 30 years or so.
Okay.
That he's been.
All right. And could you describe some of your duties at the Fulton County DA's office during your tenure?
Sure. When I first started, I was at the investigator for the crimes against women and children. Basically worked up child molestation cases, rape cases, aggravated assaults, anything that basically dealt with domestic violence. I would say was my forte at that.
And before we go further, although he seems like, he is maybe not happy to be here or just kind of tired, I can imagine that having to look at the grossness that people perpetrate against children and the vulnerable, breaks a part of you down. So, I appreciate those officers that look at that darkness and grossness that, people do to children and vulnerable people and try to get justice for them. I can't imagine what it does to you after many years.
Time.
Okay. And so your testimony is that you came into the Fulton County DA's office under the Paul Howard administration around 2019?
Correct.
All right. When you left the Fulton County DA's office, were you assigned to any particular unit?
Yeah. When Madam DA came in, Willis, at that point, everybody that was here, we all had to basically submit applications, resumes, and they gave us out like a list of jobs or positions that were open. So everybody that was here before had to reapply. At that time, I reapplied, and I saw that there was a capital and cold case division that I was interested in, and that's what I went out for.
Okay. Prior to that, had there been a capital and cold case division at the Fulton County DA's office?
There was, I want to say, towards maybe the beginning. I'm not overly sure of Paul Howard's, but I do know that for whatever reason, it was disbanded.
Okay. And when did that, to the best of your recollection, when was that unit recreated in the DA's office?
It was recreated. I tested for it. I ended up getting it, and it was basically January 1st of 2021, I believe. When she took office, I was immediately transferred from my current assignment to capital and cold case. We had 2 attorneys and 2 investigators.
Okay. And when you came to that cold case unit, did it already have a caseload itself?
It had a caseload as far as they were putting it together. So we had a lot of cases, and we were getting basically buy-ins from the other police departments. So we were talking a lot with Atlanta Police Department, Roswell, all the agencies within Fulton, letting them know that this is what we had now, and this is what we were looking on on doing, and we were basically setting up a full cold case unit, and we were going over the cases, and we asked them if they had cases, could they please forward to them, since they would have the best recollection of cases too.
Okay. And did at any point did the Fulton County DA's office start to receive, I guess, referrals of cases to investigate?
Yes. A list was put together. I want to say it was, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but it was a large list.
All right. And is that the point when you started looking into conducting internal investigations into the cold cases?
Correct. What we would do is go down, we would see what witnesses were still available, which witnesses may have passed away, and where witnesses were. We were also looking at the evidence of what cases had physical evidence and just solvability factors, basically.
Okay. When you say solvability factors, what do you mean by that?
Of which cases would have the greatest, per se, solvability factors if we still had, I hate to say it, a lot of living witnesses, then those were the cases that were more prone to go. Or if some of the witnesses were getting to the age, then you would almost have to triage and put which ones, could go first.
Is it safe to say you need evidence that you can bring into court? Is that safe to say?
Yes.
All right. At any point, did you and your team, and specifically referring you to the initiation of the cold case unit in Fulton County DA's office, did you begin to investigate the disappearance of Melissa Wolfenbarger?
Yes.
How did you come to begin to investigate that case?
Originally, our two investigators was Adam Abate and, I'm sorry, not investigators, attorneys were Adam Abate and Adrian Love. The parents of Melissa Wolfenbarger came in, and then we ended up going out, and I want to say we went out to the scene location with a dog, and it just started from there. And then once we did that, then we started digging more and more into the case. We also contacted and met with APD, also Detective Shepard.
Okay. And what year, if you can orient us, you said the administration came in 2021. What year are you talking about this is happening?
I would say that this all would have been back in probably 2021.
Okay. And at any point, did you and your team come up with, say, a complete list or checklist of things that needed to be done on this case?
Yes.
And just ballpark, how many tasks did you come up with that you decided needed to be completed?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember basically of like a number of tasks. But I could probably give more examples of what some of the tasks were.
Well, and if you could speak to that, what types of things were you looking to complete during that period?
We were looking at.
So let me get this straight. The two attorneys that are prosecuting this case were here at the inception and pushed for this case to be one of the cold cases that was going to be touted under this new administration for bringing back cold case justice. And they were the ones that decided that this case was ready to go to trial. Are we seeing a problem here?
Evidence. So what we wanted to do was see what physical evidence we had, and we checked with APD for them to get their hands on a lot of the evidence. A lot of people at that time kind of forget that APD went through that system of, I want to say it was around 2016. It was the late teens of where they had a hack. And a lot of their evidence, even though it was in the evidence room, was irretrievable. And I've had a couple of cases where we tried to go in there and find it, and we weren't able to find it.
And so when you talk about some of the evidence is irretrievable, what types of issues did you, and you're talking about 2016 hack, what is that?
Well, I had a case.
I'm going to object to relevance unless it's about this case.
Well, see, I'm just responding to that. It's the Atlanta Police Department, and we've heard evidence of at least one videotape that the police department had, and this is...
Wait a minute. So we're excusing the fact that we lost evidence, but we're still taking this FUBAR case to trial because our security was so lax that it was hacked? Again, I don't think you're making the case that you think you're making.
After this occurred, after that evidence would have been in the property of the Atlanta Police Department. So I think this is part of the explanation of evidence that's come in during the course of this trial.
Okay, I'm going to allow it, but let's not go too far down that road.
Thank you.
Overruled, sir.
Okay.
You would testify.
What we had was every now and then they had difficult locating it. So we would put in, so they may have, for example, I can't remember this case off the top of my head if there was anything that we weren't able to locate, but a phone. The phone was in their evidence room, but their evidence room is absolutely enormous. This was a separate case, and we were never able to get it. They wrote a letter saying that the phone, they had it, but it was irretrievable.
Okay. Now, you were referring to this list of items that needed to be completed. Was there an intent to present your investigation or the unit investigation to the DA for an indictment decision at some point?
Yes. Basically, we all worked together on it, and we would go down the checklist. We would see what witnesses were still around. We would also go and see, like I said, what evidence and the possible testing methods to test the evidence in which we did find.
Okay. And did you look at conducting any types of tests in particular on evidence related to this case?
Yes.
And walk us through what were you attempting to test in particular?
Well, we ended up having select funds for testing and for DNA testing. There was a cutting edge DNA testing that Francis Bardole from Cold Case Solutions was doing with some success. It dealt with the MBAC system. So we were trying to go through and see what evidence we had that we could use this testing and send it off. And that's basically what we did, is we identified several pieces that we could send off to her.
Well, and so when you say pieces, what types of pieces are you referring to?
The evidence was basically where the severed head was found in a trash bag. So the trash bag had a knot to it. The knot was believed to be untampered with and not opened up or closed. So on her method is what she would do is hopefully take the knot and she would test the knot, slowly unravel it, trying to pull out whatever DNA may have been in the knot, if there was any. And she's had some success. And that's basically of what we were doing at that time.
Okay. And would that have also been, what year would that have taken place?
That it probably would have been around I want to say the following year, maybe 2020. It's got to be 2022, I would imagine. I would have to see. I don't know if I have.
Okay.
Yeah, 2022 is probably when it was sent off, and I don't think we got the reports back until about 2020.
Probably, maybe, might, could. Again, this is why I posit that Georgia does not have functional calendars. And yes, that is Sarah Boone behind bars. I forgot I hadn't made a specific, law and crime hider. So I decided to use Sarah because, who doesn't need to brighten up their Monday with the thought that Sarah Boone is still behind bars? I know it's weird things that make my heart go pitter patter, but when it does, Sarah Boone gains another year in solitary.
23.
Okay. To the best of your knowledge, did that result in information that allowed the office to proceed with an indictment?
To my knowledge, I don't know. The indictment part came after I ended up going to Chattahoochee Hills.
Okay. To the best of your knowledge, the results of that didn't automatically trigger an indictment.
No, the results came back and everything, to the best of my knowledge, was inconclusive. It didn't really hold, unfortunately, any evidentiary type value.
And in addition to the bags themselves, was there anything else that was submitted for testing or comparison purposes?
I would need to see the list that we sent them, but it was basically just everything. I want to say.
Sir, were you aware that you were going to testify? Okay, this is my biggest pet peeve because it is literally my biggest fear. While I don't mind being goofy on here because it's kind of, but I do take a lot of notes. Being in a court case or looking like an irresponsible or unprepared jackass in front of people is like my biggest anxiety socially. So if I knew I had to testify, I would have maybe 3 things of notes. I'd go in there, Sarah Boone, full of notebooks like, what are we doing here? I don't think you know me. I would have documentations. I would have things at my fingertips because my memory is poorer now with my medical issues. And it's one of the things that really does bother me is this is your job. This is your profession. Again, I would find it very discomforting, very, very makes me so anxious I couldn't, see straight if I showed up this ill-prepared, especially if it was going to be streamed. I mean, I don't know. It's my bugbear. It might not be a whole big thing to anyone else, but it annoys me.
There was several bags that were all sent out to Francine Bardole to test. I think some items were also some clothing. Okay. But again, I'm doing this off of memory.
All right. If you were to see a copy of the front part of the report, would that refresh your recollection as to?
Yes. It's because I know we sent buccal swabs as well. with it.
And what is a buccal swab?
A buccal swab is an oral swab for comparison.
Okay. And who would that, a buccal swab, would that have corresponded with a particular individual?
Yes.
Who would that have been?
It would have been with Mr. Wolfenbarger.
All right. And the testing that you're talking about this morning, is that part of the task at yourself and the unit at the DA's office? Is that part of the task that were, I guess, picked to complete before you presented that information to the DA?
Yes.
And your testimony is that once you left the DA's office, this case was still under investigation?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, it was an active investigation when you left. Is that also correct?
That is correct.
All right. One moment, Judge.
Sure.
Sorry.
Mr. McDermott?
Excuse me,
I'm sorry? Do you have questions, Ms. Smith?
oh, yes, ma'am, I'm ready. I do have questions. You stated that you went up to the scene where the body had been found,
Correct.
or the remains had been found, and you were with a team of people?
Yes.
Who all was with you? Do you remember?
I believe the first thing I was, sometimes butchered the name. I'm not great with names, but I believe it was Cheryl McCollum. She was a CSI, or she was a crime scene tech for Hateville.
Is that what she does now?
I'm not sure if she's still with them or not.
Is she a popular podcaster on true crime?
I believe she does have a podcast, yes.
Was Karen Greer present?
You sure can. So, I will tell you that I do have a playlist for this case, and there is a 17-minute video that will explain it a little bit more because this case is so crazy. But the very nuts and bolts part of it is in 1998 in Georgia, right off of Avon Street, there was a skull found in the middle of the street. It appeared to have been dragged by animals and had been put in black trash bags and then dragged out into the street. So that day, the police, took the head, documented the area, and then sent it to the medical examiner's office. Now, the medical examiner's office, I guess, determined that the soft tissue was too far gone, cleaned the skull based on procedures, and because some of the markers were indistinct, labeled the skull as probably coming from a young male. Now, a couple months later, because they had found the skull, they sent out a team to look for any additional body parts in the area. They did end up finding arms and legs in double trash bags, but they never did find the torso in this case. Now, one of the female officers in the case does say that she said that the limbs did look like they belonged to a female and not a male, but Fulton County, where this took place, never associated the limbs with the skull and then treated them like two separate cases. So this was FUBAR to begin with. Now, in 2000, Norma Patton and her husband, Carl, finally report their daughter, Melissa Wolfenbarger, missing. Now, they say that they haven't seen her since 1998. The delay between them actually reporting her missing was never explained fully, even to this day. But they report her missing, and nothing really happens in that case. Now, Melissa was married at the time she went missing, and there were credible allegations of DV against her husband, Chris Wolfenbarger. Now, this kind of goes along in this fashion with Norma and Carl kind of catching up with the missing persons detectives and trying to find Melissa to no avail. In 2003, Carl Patton and Norma Patton are indicted on the very infamous cold case Flint River murders. So basically 5 murders that had happened in the mid 70s Now, Carl ended up pleading guilty, and Norma ended up pleading guilty or got immunity, but basically pled to accessory after the fact, planning before the fact, just about everything. So that happens. Now, when they get Carl's DNA, it traces back to Melissa. Now, Melissa is the only murder that he refuses to take credit for and alleges that Chris is the one that did this. Now, Norma actually did testify to this on stand, but Norma and Carl, after 2003, when Melissa was finally identified and the police chose not to indict him for her murder, they labored under the impression that if Norma was able to get Chris Wolfenbarger indicted and convicted for the murder of Melissa, Carl would be eligible for parole. Now, mind you, he was serving 5 consecutive life sentences. But Norma and Carl believed fervently that if they could tie Christopher Wolfenbarger to this case, Carl would get parole. Now, this led to Norma going to a lot of cold case, conventions, crime cons, and eventually, and this brings us kind of full circle to this person's testimony, in contact with a very big true crime podcaster. And then this began a kind of public campaign against or to get Chris Wolfenbarger, convicted for this cold case. Norma, a lot of the stories that they've told have turned out to not be supported by evidence, such as the family, both Norma, Carl, and Tina, their other daughter, stating that Melissa would never leave her children. She would never be absent from their lives. Unfortunately, court documents prove that in 1998, within months to weeks of her disappearance, she had signed over parental rights, parental guardianship of her 2 children with Christopher to Christopher's mother. So there are a lot of competing things in this. There was a push for true crimers or by true crimers and a public upswell to get this case into order. But this case has been a cavalcade of the state losing evidence, not having reliable witnesses. No testing has come back. They didn't investigate when Melissa first went missing and these body parts were found very close to where Christopher worked and where the marital home had been. They didn't check the house. They didn't check where Chris and Melissa were for a year. We just went over the testimony from the missing person detective that stated he didn't look up where these Chris or Melissa was until 6 months after he had gotten the case with sort of work records. So there was absolutely no investigation in this case, and Chris Wolfenbarger was found not guilty. So we're watching this trial. It has taken a while since I was sick last week. I'm actually going to get ready to, probably after this witness, ending this particular stream so Mr. Mo can go regale me with all of the fancy doodads he wants on our new family savings goal TV thing. So I am trying to be a good wife and balance him looking at tech I still don't understand and giving you guys some streams to make up for last week. Yeah. So yeah, and I have reordered the playlist on this so that it should be in chronological order now. So we will cover this today, and then on Wednesday. Tomorrow, we will be covering the media press conference about the possible true story behind Walking Tall. Buford Purser was kind of the real life sheriff behind the Walking Tall movie and book. But it seems like he might be credibly and because he's passed away, I'll say allegedly, possibly responsible for the red rum of his wife. Now, in the story, she was taken out by his enemies, but it is looking very much like he fabricated that attack and took his wife out. So it's a really interesting cold case. I covered the article about it on Saturday Mornings with Mo, so wanted to do some more of kind of deep dives and maybe, less known of cases. So that is my plan. But let's continue with this particular witness. Just the lack of attention that this case got. I don't care what problems Melissa had, whether she had a chaotic childhood or a chaotic life, whether she gave up the rights to her children or was suffering from substance abuse. No one deserves to be dismembered and thrown away like trash. And it ticks me off that the state was so lackadaisical that now this woman never has an opportunity for justice.
News station?
Oh, the news station. Yes, there was it ended up being a news clip about it. Yes.
Okay.
And there was a
Correct.
canine from, it's been a while. I can't
Some kind of
remember.
canine.
Another type of canine.
And were the ADAs there?
Yes. At that time, it was Deputy District Attorney Adrian Love.
Okay. And that was what year? 2020?
It's got to be 2021, I would believe.
And, okay. You said that one of the items you sent in for DNA testing was the bag that the head had been in.
I believe so. I'd really like to see the list if
And
possible.
I'll show it to you.
Okay, thank you.
But you described there being knots
Right.
tied in these bags, and
Correct.
that would have hopefully left, whoever tied those knots may have left trace DNA evidence there.
Correct.
And that's what you would have been looking for in these tests,
Yes.
was trace DNA. Okay. Yeah, Coach, you're on.
Yes.
I'm going to show you this.
All right.
Okay, so I think what you're asking for is going to be beginning here,
Okay.
and here. But I want you to take note of the date as well.
November 23rd. Yep. That sounds about.
And I will also ask you about this document as well.
Sure. Let's just take one more look at this. Is this the same? No, this is the final.
Right.
Okay.
We'll come back to that.
That's fine. All right.
Do you recognize those documents?
Yes.
And what do those documents appear to be?
They are, well, it's a report from where it was sent to Francine Bardol, and it looks like this is where she used the MFAC filter, and it's explaining each item, what the filter was bag containing.
So is it fair to say that those reports are reports for the DNA testing agency or company?
Yes, so there were two separate companies involved.
Who are these reports from?
All right, this one, this one's all from Pure Gold.
And you've referenced the Francine Bardol, is her name on that?
Right, so Francine Bardol is, here she is, but her company's listed underneath.
Okay.
Cold Case Solutions and Resources.
So it appears she was subcontracting out the work.
Again, this seems so, and I wish I didn't have to use this word, but incestuous. You have the ADA who was responsible for this cold case task force, who was instrumental at, again, following a cold case podcaster, which no denigrating, podcasters, but we don't have the same kind of bar against speculation. We don't have the same rules of evidence that can, sort, let's say, hearsay into empirical evidence. We don't have the rules that a court of law has. So while I can say speculation station, I believe that Carl and Norma remind me very much of Ian Brady and Myra Henley, or of, Ken and Barbie murders up in Canada. This very cold, calculated husband and wife team who kind of, it was us of them, or us against the world, society's rules didn't matter. If you doubt that, I implore you to watch Norma's testimony. It is one of the most discomforting things in just her coldness, her demeanor is so very odd, at least to me. Again, I am not the litmus test by which anyone should test normal. So, as your unlicensed, unbonded, and unreliable life guru, I tell you to take what I say with a grain of salt. Watch it on my channel, watch it somewhere else, make up your own mind. But she was deeply unsettling and a very, very cold person. In my general read of her, I think that the sister also has an axe to grind, and if as if to add any more to their possible enticement to color their testimony, it was discovered during trial by the defense that Norma has signed. Now she promised on stand to renege out of this contract, but she had signed a contract with Netflix to create a crime documentary about the family. Think about that. From Carl and Norma's crimes as at the Flint River killings, all the way up to Melissa's disappearance, and hopefully, in Norma and Netflix's thoughts, up to Christopher being, adjudicated guilty of this murder disappearance. So again, it is just a case that is going to take me about 3 boards to try to do a murder board presentation for y'all, because holy fazolies.
Correct. What she would do is that she would process the evidence, and then there was only very limited places that was able to do the DNA in a short time frame, and that's where we used the other company. I want to say that it was Susan Ryan was the one that worked the evidence.
Okay. In the list, I'll ask you in a minute.
Sure.
But there is actually, so all of these companies that they used with all of this trace DNA all tied back to this, Cheryl McCollum that, has her own podcast. So again, it was a deeply flawed case because the investigation was not done contemporaneously. When they found these remains, if they had had a functional and good detective bureau, they would have said, hey, we found some remains here. Maybe we should, right at the same day, send people to go look for other remains. And then they would have noticed that this was a female skull. They would have put together the bones, of the limbs and the skull. They would have put in the dental records of missing persons before 3 years had passed. But because they didn't, where the crime scene was, what actually happened to this woman, her last, moments on earth that were probably horrific, will never be accounted for. And it ticks me off. Because the state has this power on earth to bring a flawed, yes, bad, imperfect justice, yes, but it's the best form of justice that we have right now. But then you have people like this that bring a case because of pressure, think they can just wing it through. And it is maddening. It is maddening because now there will never be another chance for her children to possibly learn, even though the truth would be heartbreaking, what really happened to their mom.
Okay. Does that list reflect an item 8.1?
Yes.
And what was item 8.1?
It says a bag containing a mixture of DNA. Do you want me to read it?
Sure, go ahead and read the results. You will.
Okay. A mixture of DNA consists with originating from at least 5 contributors, with at least 2 male contributors, was obtained from item number 5.
Thank you. And now if you would please.
Yes.
Would you please read the results on that second report that you said.
Yes, on this one, it says Christopher Wolfenbarger is excluded as a possible contributor to the mixture obtained from item 8.1.
Your Honor, the state is stipulated to be disabilities.
What are the exhibit numbers?
And I would like to move to enter state, or defendants 8 and 9, please.
And because there's a stipulation, Mr. Fawcett, I assume there's no objection?
No objection.
Okay, defendants 8 and 9 are admitted. Go ahead.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Fawcett, additional follow-up for this witness?
No further questions.
Thank you, sir. You may sit down.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, just
All right, you guys, that is where I'm going to end it today. Let me see who is streaming so I can send you on. I am going to be going out into the wilds of, oh, dang it. Wait, Baker's just raided. And Mr. Mo is in the middle of a project, so he is like, give me a little bit more time. So I think we can squeeze in another witness.
because we just had a recent break, I was planning to take a little bit, to keep going and take a little bit later lunch. Just, okay, getting nods. So, Mr. Fawcett, the state may call its next witness.
The state calls Detective Shepard.
Howdy, howdy, Leska. Welcome. Welcome, Baker Raiders. Welcome to What in the Fever Dream Is This Trial? Mo edition. Good night, the Mosey in this case. This is at 1.25. And the lack of hurry up and let's move.
Proceed if you'll turn and face the deputy and raise your right hand to swear you in.
Yes, ma'am. You swear on margin of testimony that you'll have to do the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Have a seat. Please state and spell your full name for the court.
Detective Jarian Shepard, that's Jaionshepard.
Detective Shepard, where are you currently employed?
The Atlanta Police Department Homicide Unit.
And in what capacity?
I currently work within the Homicide Unit, our cold case and complex squad that we have within the unit.
How long have you been employed with the Atlanta Police Department?
Close to 23 years.
And can you describe your duties?
Yes, I primarily work cold case and complex cases within the Homicide Unit, whatever complex case comes up in the city limits of Atlanta, and of course cold cases.
Okay. How many homicide cases would you say you've worked at the city?
Thank you so much.
Close to 500.
All right. And if you could walk us through, how do you begin the process of receiving information on a case and then beginning the investigation?
So instead of the cold case, when the homicide comes in, of course we get the location, we verify the location, the venue, make sure it's inside the city limits of Atlanta. We respond to the scene, we make sure that scene is secure. We make sure the evidence has all been numbered and appropriately documented.
Okay.
All right. And for those of you that are just joining this case and Baker Raiders, I know Baker covered this case. It is crazy. So a too long didn't read kind of, I'll try to do it in 5 minutes, but it is an actual cluster F, had a baby on top of Chernobyl with, I don't know, one of those floating gummy bear things I just reported on Saturday. Anywho, in 1998 in Atlanta off of Avon Street, a skull was found. Now, the police documented that skull and sent it off to the ME. Now, I am not sure why it took another couple months for them to go look for any other body parts, but they did eventually find arms and legs, each bagged separately, double bagged in black plastic bags. Now, Atlanta, in their infinite wisdom, had a bunch of problems with this case. First of all, they never linked the limbs and the skull as possibly being from the same person, so it was treated as two separate cases for a long time. They also misidentified the skull as possibly belonging to a young male. Now, in 2000, Norma and Carl Patton went to Atlanta and reported their daughter, Melissa Wolfenbarger, missing. Now, they had last seen Melissa in 1998. At that time, Melissa was married to Chris, and as Norma and Carl would tell everyone who would listen, and there were credible reports of DV in the relationship, in the marriage. They had 2 children, and there was once a protective order issued against Chris. So there were credible allegations that that was a rocky marriage. Now, nothing really happens. Atlanta slow walks, looking up where Christopher might be, where Melissa might be, getting dental records in, just slow walks about everything. And none of that really changes until about 2003, because at that time, well, Carl and Norma happened to be indicted for the Flint River murders, which are a series of 5 murders in the 1970s that were attributed finally in 2003 to Carl. Carl pled guilty. Norma testified against Carl for 2 of the murders, which she basically planned and helped clean up afterwards. All kinds of crazy, okay? Now, in this particular time, Carl is linked to Melissa's remains because they test his DNA against other cases and her remains pop up. So Melissa is identified, and Carl refuses to take responsibility for Melissa, says he had nothing to do with her murder, and the state can't find really anything to link him to it, so they don't charge her or him with that. Now, Norma and Carl, for reasons that are beyond my understanding, to the point that it requires logic that, Sarah uses to make herself not guilty, despite being charged with 5, concurrent, I think, life sentences without the possibility of parole, Norma and Carl thought that the only thing, stopping Carl from getting parole was the fact that Chris Wolfenbarger had not been charged with Melissa's disappearance. Again, not sure where in the hell they got this idea. This leads to Norma kind of, becoming the standard bearer to get justice for Melissa. She finally makes contact with this fairly prominent cold case podcaster, and through a cold case division opening up in the DA's office when Fannie Willis was elected, this case was basically pushed forward. Now, in 4 days, the state has managed to not find, recovered just about any piece of evidence, and their witnesses are reliable in the same way the guy from Memento is reliable. It is a cavalcade of what in the heck. The sad truth about this trial is that Chris will be found not guilty, and whatever chance that Melissa had for getting justice is gone. Because the state at the time they found the remains didn't do a good job, and there is a shocking amount of evidence that has gone missing in this case, wasn't tested, wasn't looked at the time. People have died, witnesses don't remember, and the sad thing is they brought a case that was full of reasonable doubt. And whatever demons Melissa was dealing with, no one deserves to be dismembered and thrown away like trash. So I'm a whole lot angry at the state, but it is a crazy case to watch. So let's see what this gentleman did in the mishandling of this case.
And what about what is considered a cold case?
When all investigative leads have been exhausted.
And what does that mean when you say investigative leads?
So, say for instance, witnesses, they've been spoken with. There's no leads on new witnesses. Evidence that's gone stale. Things of that nature make a case go cold.
Okay. Is there a specific unit at the Atlanta Police Department designated to look into cases that have been unsolved?
Yes, that's currently the cold case squad that I'm a part of.
Okay. And when did you become a part of that unit?
Within the cold case unit, I would say around 2020.
How many cases you currently sign?
Primarily, I'm close to 100 cases.
And how do you determine which of your cases to prioritize in your cold case, in the amount of cold cases that you have?
So, of course, we look at the solvability factors. We take a look at each case, determine what factors need to be looked at first. We make that a priority. In those cases, we do take a more in-depth look at.
Okay. And at the time you came into investigating this case, and we're talking about the State versus Christopher Wolfenbarger, were you knowledgeable about the previous investigation that had been done?
Correct.
What did you do to become familiar with the previous work that had been done in this case?
So the first thing I do when I get a cold case, I get the entire file. I look over the file, I read it, I make copies of everything so I can make my personal notations.
Thank you.
Document all witnesses that are available. I make a priority list on who I need to interview, what I need to interview. Make a list of the evidence that's available within the case, and also be sure to contact the original detective if he's available, he or she's available.
Okay. And who was the original detective on this case?
Detective Calhoun.
All right. All right. Did you meet with Detective Calhoun?
I did.
How many times throughout your investigation and after the case was indicted did you meet with Detective Calhoun?
Numerous times. We spoke on the phone, we met in person.
Okay. Did you review Detective Calhoun's reports that he wrote prior to his retirement?
I did, and also summarized all of his case file, his notes. And of course, I like to always have the original detective read over it to make sure it's accurate.
Okay. Did you look into the background and lifestyle of Melissa Wolfenbarger?
I did.
And at the time you came into the investigation, did you have a suspect in mind, a person of interest?
Yes.
And who was that?
Christopher Wolfenbarger.
And was there anything about the background of Melissa Wolfenbarger and her lifestyle that led you to focus on Christopher Wolfenbarger?
Yes, they had a violent, tumultuous relationship between the two.
Where did you receive information, or where did you look to find information about the lifestyle of Melissa?
The first thing we like to look at is, of course, what's documented, police reports and things of that nature.
Did you speak to her relatives?
I did.
Did you attempt to locate and speak to people that were friends with Melissa?
Yes.
What about anyone that lived on the street or in the same area as the Brookline residents?
Yes.
Did you also look in to see if there were any previous state or criminal cases related to domestic violence?
Yes.
All right. And what in particular can you say about investigating homicide cases, in particular homicide cases where there might be domestic violence involved? What can you say, tell the jury about those types of investigations?
We come across those type of investigations often. They're also a result of some type of passion that includes jealousy and things of that nature. That's really what kind of resonates when it comes to domestic violence cases.
Okay. And are you familiar with domestic violence cases where there's been a
I too know that because I watched Snapped on Lifetime. I mean, anyone who's watched a telenovela could tell you the same thing, that crimes of passion are usually in the heat of the moment. I'm going to need you to drop some evidence beyond this tenuous stuff that you have.
say a case or a protective order that has been issued in connection with the case?
Correct, yes.
Is that something that happens often?
It is, especially when you have one partner that's very aggressive. And of course, the victim in that situation, if they're very afraid, and that's one of the recourses they can take.
The nosy is real. What in the world is... What in the name of... Going to lose my mind. Are you kidding me? This guy's like, well, I still get time and a half for this.
Your Honor, at this time, I have several self-authenticating documents I would tender into evidence at this time. I have Exhibit 24, which is a certified document of a petition seeking relief from family violence. That is State's Exhibit 24.
Mr. McDermott? I'm sorry, Mr. Samuel?
We just reviewed them. We don't object to these documents.
Okay, thank you. Exhibit 24 is admitted.
Okay. I have Exhibit 26, it's a certified self-authenticating document. It is a Rule 9 Psi from that, setting that court date down. So it's Exhibit 26.
26 is admitted.
I have State's Exhibit 28. It is the state certified document. It is the actual formal motion to debt docket the case, the formal case, the battery case in March of 1999. And that is Exhibit 28.
Okay, no, there was no objection by the defense, so 28 is also admitted.
And I have printed out a copy of what was admitted yesterday, Exhibit 27. That's a self-authenticating document. It is the request for dismissal.
Right, it's already in evidence.
That was
Exhibit
27. Yes, sir. All right.
It took you that long to have self-authenticating documents that you knew you were going to ask him about?
Okay. Now,
For the love of Cheetos.
for the record, Detective Shepard, I'm going to publish what's been tendered and admitted as State's Exhibit 24. All right. Do you see that State's Exhibit?
Yes.
And what is that?
That looks like a protective order.
Okay. What is a protective order?
It's a temporary protective order. It's an order given by the court to the person that's seeking this order for some type of protection from the person that they're putting a TPO against. We call it TPO, a temporary protective order.
All right. Now, when you looked at the information, the notes, the summaries from Detective Calhoun, when you spoke to family and friends, were you aware that there was a July 21st, 1998 battery committed by this defendant against Christopher Wolfenbarger?
Yes,
Okay. Did you have a chance to look at the reports related to that?
I did.
Were you aware upon reviewing those reports that there were visible observed injuries to the person who was Wolfenbarger?
Yes,
All right. At that point, were you concerned or did you at least factor that this could be related to domestic violence?
absolutely.
All right. Was that why Christopher Wolfenbarger was the primary suspect?
Yes,
And does it indicate on State's Exhibit 26 the marital status of Melissa Wolfenbarger's claim?
yes, that she was married.
Okay. And does it also indicate living in the same household?
Yes.
Now, after a petition is ordered by the court, you're familiar with court dates that would be scheduled subsequent to that. Are you familiar with those court dates?
Yes,
Is that fairly common for a petitioner to file a complaint and then have a court order a date for that issue to be heard?
yes, it's very common.
Okay. I am publishing State's Exhibit. Yeah, State's Exhibit 26. Can you tell the court what that is?
That's going to be the petition for court.
All right. Well, is that in fact the Rule 9 Psi setting it down to July 29th?
Correct.
Okay, that's 1998. So would that have been the date that Melissa and the defendant would have showed up to, I guess, address whether or not there should have been a protective order in place? Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And what's going to come out is that the judge allowed Chris and Melissa to talk to each other before going into this hearing or before adjudicating this hearing, and Melissa decided to drop the report. Now, if the judge is in a family court and is aware that this is a common practice of maybe using coercive, tactics to get your victim to drop a protective order or a case, why in the world would this judge allow Christopher to talk to Melissa? Unless Melissa indicated that she was okay with this. And I do understand where the judge is in a catch-22. If you have a victim that swears up and down and sideways that everything is okay despite being a frequent flyer, you really can do only so much to save someone from their own decisions. but it does strike me as odd that this judge allowed Christopher to talk to Melissa if this is a known pattern. And we do know, I've seen this in a lot of trials. This is kind of a known pattern that we've been aware of for some time.
I'm going to publish State's Exhibit 27. Melissa and the defendant would have showed up in court
Yes, it is.
based on the previous paperwork.
Yes, it is.
All right. Now, is that the first time you've heard of where a petitioner would request for a case to be dismissed?
It's not that you don't see that often.
Okay. What about victims of domestic violence in cases that you investigated not wanting to proceed with the investigation? Is that uncommon?
No, that's not uncommon.
What do you mean by that?
Usually when the victims of domestic violence, it's a pattern, a toxic pattern they fall back into with the person, with the abuser, and they usually fall right back into that pattern.
Yeah. So when you see requests for dismissal, are you at this point, are you disregarding the possibility of there being ongoing domestic violence?
No, I'm not disregarding that at all.
Now,
God, this is your case. You should not be this bad at technology. I am a crazy redhead who just
to the best of
babbles
your
on the
knowledge, did
internet.
that,
I shouldn't be better at technology with all of my, craptastic skillability to, screw up technology. But again, I'm not, trying a case that's trying to put a man behind bars for the rest of his foreseeable life.
case involving this defendant for the July 1998 attack against Melissa Wolfenbarger, did that ever make its way to court?
No, it did not.
And do you know why?
She never showed up for court.
Okay. And referring you to State's Exhibit 28, do you see what's on that board?
Yes.
And can you read what is depicted in writing under the motion to get back?
It said unable to locate victim, warrant case, violation and probation for non-reporting.
Okay. And what date is that? That document was signed?
That's March 15th, 1999.
Okay. Do you recall the date that, based on your investigation, that the head of Melissa Wolfenbarger was located across the Avon Avenue location?
I believe it's in April 99.
Okay, so that's after, roughly about a month after that.
Correct.
All right. A month after they had dismissed the case because they couldn't find her.
Correct. I did.
And what did your investigation reveal?
He had a boy, they had a boy together and a young female.
And what about living conditions? Where were the children living at the time of death?
With Christopher's mother.
Did you actually make your way to the Avon Avenue location?
I did.
And did you go to the Brookline Street location?
I did.
All right. How many times have you gone out to that location?
Multiple times.
I'm going to show you what's been marked at State's Exhibit 76. Tell the court if you recognize that location.
Yes, it's an overall bird's eye view of the location where her head and extremities were found.
Okay. And specifically, is that an overall view of the Avon Avenue location?
Correct.
And is that an overall view of the location where Action Glass, the business, is located?
Correct.
And did you also, had you been to those locations to observe them with your own eyes?
Yes.
Had you also actually gone and visited the residence at 824 Brookline Street where the Wolfenbargers lived at during that period?
Yes.
And is that location depicted on that State's Exhibit 76 as well?
Yes, it's all contained in this photo.
All right. And the depiction listed on State's Exhibit 76, is it a fair and accurate representation of that area that contains the Avon Avenue location, Action Glass, and the 824 Brookline Street location?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, the State moved to tender an evidence statement.
The remains were found incredibly close to Action Glass, where Chris Wolfenbarger was working during the time of her disappearance, and the marital home that they lived in. I believe it was within 50 yards of Action Glass and within 500 yards of their home. So this was, again, there are parts of this case that absolutely do look like they point to Christopher. You know, the domestic violence, the chaotic marriage, and, you know, the dumping of the, you know, remains very close to where he worked and where he lived. But Melissa also was in a relationship with a gentleman she was working at Waffle House with, named Michael, who has also done stints for armed robbery. You've got the parents who were also involved in many red rums. You've got the fact that she seemed to be living at the time a somewhat unstable and nomadic lifestyle where she kind of jumped between being with Christopher and being with this other guy, then jumping to her parents, then kind of back and forth. So it does seem like, again, Christopher does seem like a good suspect, but because they were unable or did not look at these other suspects, verify, you know, alibi them out at the time, you really can no longer ever take that, you know, reasonable doubt that she did have contact with other people who might have a motive to, you know, not have her be found anymore. There's also the big time gap between when her parents, you know, reported her as missing. So there are a lot of things in this case that had they been investigated at the time or closer to the time when evidence was actually found, had evidence not been lost or poorly stored, this case could have been a good cold case to bring to trial, but it wasn't, and you can't go back and do a good investigation. You have already lost that evidence, those witnesses. So because they decided to go forward with the case as is, it just is a cluster.
It's Exhibit 76.
No objection.
Go ahead, submitted.
Permission to publish?
Permission granted.
All right. Okay. Now, with the court permission, Detective Shepard, you could point to the location where Action Glass is.
It's here.
All right. And the significance of that.
Gotta love this trial. Atlanta, I'm gonna pray for you.
All right. And in Brookline area, you actually see the Brookline Street?
Correct.
All right. Now, did you actually yourself go to locations where the head was located,
Yes, I did.
as well as the extremities?
Yes.
All right. In relationship to the job where Wolfenbarger worked and the residence, you show the jury on the map where the head and extremities were located.
So Action Glass safety the Avon is here. The head was roughly here, and the extremities were located in this area.
And did you actually walk that location between where the head was located, the extremities, and Action Glass?
Yes.
Generally, can you talk this to how many feet, if you can recall that distance would be?
Maybe 30 feet. Roughly.
All right. And did you drive that location from Action Glass to the 824 Brookline Street?
Yes.
And roughly how long of a drive is that?
Less than a minute.
Okay. Is that the geography, the location of the residence, the job, was that significant at all in your investigation?
Absolutely, it was significant.
And why is that?
It's all in close proximity to Christopher Wolfenbarger's work address, home address, and the location where we found everything.
Okay, so here's where they
Now,
lose me
as
with
far-
this. Now, granted, I know I shouldn't look at things with my logic and try to put them onto criminals because generally they don't operate with my kind of logic. But generally, the thought behind dismemberment is to hinder identity or help with disposal. Now, if you wanted to both hinder identity and help with disposal, you go through all the trouble of, dismembering the body, and then you dump it right next to where you work. I mean, again, I know I'm not supposed to give criminals a good, bit of logic, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Where's the actual remains of Melissa Wolfenbarger that were located? Do you know where all of her remains were located?
Melissa's torso has never been found.
And did that, was there anything about that caused you to look into anything else in terms of this investigation?
It did. It raised a lot of suspicion because she was under the belief that she was pregnant.
Okay. And why was that significant in your investigation?
I thought it was significant because that's the only portion of her body that was never found.
Did you have evidence, or did you uncover in your investigation that Melissa Wolfenbarger was involved with another male at that time?
I did.
Did you know that person to be Thomas Dixon?
It is him, correct.
And did you receive any information during the course of your investigation that Christopher Wolfenbarger was aware of Thomas Dixon?
I did.
And what information did you receive?
Of course, Thomas Dixon stated it, but also Christopher admitted that she was possibly involved with the male.
Okay. Did he have any other information about that male that you may have been involved with other than the male?
That they worked in the same Waffle House?
Okay. Was that the information that led you to believe that it was Thomas Dixon?
Correct.
Was that impactful to you, the fact that the defendant was aware of who Melissa Wolfenbarger was seeing?
Yes, it was.
And why is that?
Because that, again, when I spoke about jealousy being a main component of domestic violence, that raised a red flag for me immediately.
Okay. Now, you mentioned, let me ask you this. Is it significant at all for a homicide investigator to try to determine the cause of death?
It is significant.
Did you make an attempt to determine the cause of death in this case?
Yes.
And in doing that, did you observe the remains of Melissa Wolfenbarger?
I did.
Was there anything significant about the remains of Melissa Wolfenbarger that led you to look in any other directions during the course of your investigation?
No, her head was removed with a saw.
Okay. You mentioned a saw.
Correct.
All right. Is it your testimony that at some point a saw became important in your investigation?
It was very important in my investigation.
All right. Did you observe remains and what appeared to be marks on the remains?
Yes.
And at any point in your investigation, did you make an attempt to see if the defendant had been in possession of a saw at some point?
I did.
What efforts did you make to determine that?
I interviewed his former employers.
Okay. Who was that?
That was Mr. Brock at the Action Glass at 858 Avon
All right. Where did you interview them at?
in their residence.
Now, was that the only time that they had been interviewed by law enforcement?
No, during the early part of the investigation, they were interviewed by Detective Calhoun.
Okay. And you interviewed them again?
Correct.
Ronald Brock?
Yes.
Cindy Brock?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of you interviewing them?
We always like to follow up and tie up any loose ends, and significant enough time had passed, so I needed to follow up and make sure
Okay.
with that interview.
Did you inquire about Saul in particular on the date that you interviewed them when you went out?
I did.
Were they able to provide you information?
Yes.
What information did they provide you?
Hearsay, Your Honor, objection.
And in response to that, Judge,
Brock's?
yes,
Okay.
as it relates to Cindy Brock's statement, her statement in particular has been the foundation was laid, it was impeached, that statement was played in front of the jury. So at this point, it's substantive evidence. It would be admissible.
I'm going to overrule the objection, Mr. Sandy.
And what did the Brock say?
Christopher was terminated because it was believed that he stole a saw, a reciprocal saw.
Okay. So they recalled this all.
Correct.
They recalled him, I guess, the belief at that time that he took it.
Correct.
And they also recalled never receiving the saw back. Is that also correct?
Correct.
All right. And was that consistent with the remains that you observed of Melissa Wolfenbarger?
Yes, her limbs and her head were removed by saw because there was saw tool markings on those bones.
Now, you referenced an interview with this defendant.
We haven't yet gotten to an anthropologist or a medical examiner that is going to explain how she singled out a reciprocating saw versus, look, I'm not a constructionologist, but I know Mr. Moe has different saws for the plasticky pipe and then for like wood, and then I know there's a different one for metal. I mean, again, I don't know how one chooses. I mean, based on whatever you need to cut. But I don't know if she was able to discern, oh, well, this was a, skill or a Husqvarna reciprocating saw. I don't know.
Well, a statement that he made.
Correct.
Where did that take place?
At his home.
Do you recall the time period for that interview?
It was early on when I got the case. I want to say it's back in 2021. It took place at his residence in Griffin, Georgia.
Okay. And would that have been roughly the same year you got assigned this case?
Correct.
All right. Who was present when that interview took place?
My supervisor at the time, Sergeant Layton.
So just yourself and Sergeant Layton?
Correct.
All right. Who was present at the residence, Christopher Wolfenbarger, when you arrived?
It was a young lady who answered the door. I don't recall her name, but he described her as his wife, and just her and Christopher. I'm sorry.
All right. How long did that take place? The interview itself? Yes.
Approximately maybe an hour, a little bit over.
All right. And was this outside, inside? Where in the residence did this take place?
It was inside of his living room.
Okay. All right. So it's yourself, Sergeant Layton, and the defendant?
Correct.
All right. Was he willing to speak with you at that time?
Yes, he was.
All right. At any point, did you tell the defendant he was under arrest?
No point.
Did you have your cuffs out? Did you point a gun at him?
No, it was non-custodial.
Okay. And so you never told the defendant that he wasn't free to leave?
Never.
Did you give him the impression that it wasn't voluntary what he was speaking to you? He didn't have a choice to voluntarily make a statement to you?
No, I did not give him that.
All right. And did you make an attempt to find out information about his wife's disappearance at the time you interviewed him?
Yes.
In particular, did you make an attempt to inquire as to why he didn't report his wife missing?
I did.
Was that when you were able to, I guess, get confirmation that he was aware of Thomas Dixon as well?
Correct.
And did you make an attempt to get information about whether the defendant was in possession of a saw at any point?
I did.
And did he speak to you about all those items?
Yes, he spoke to me about all of them.
So here you must have been marked as State Exhibits 30 and 38. Have you had an opportunity to look at these exhibits?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And specifically as to 30A, you looked at that exhibit?
Correct.
And what is that exhibit?
It's the interview, recorded interview with Christopher.
All right, on the date that you can testify to?
Yes, sir.
And is it a fair and accurate representation of the interview that took place on that day?
Yes.
All right. That's exhibit 30. I have exhibit 38. Have you had a chance to review and sign back this document as well?
Yes.
All right. And is this also an interview that you conducted with the defendant on the day you did testify to?
Correct.
All right. And is this also a fair and accurate representation of that interview that you conducted?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state will continue to evidence states exhibit 30, which is an interview conducted by Detective Shepard, and states exhibit 38, which is a redacted interview by Detective Shepard.
Mr. Samuel?
We need to confirm the redaction, but no objection assuming that.
Okay. Exhibit 30 is admitted. Exhibit 30A is admitted subject to confirmed redactions.
Well, 30 is not in evidence. 30A is.
He's offered it into evidence.
Can we approach?
Sure.
Oh, for the love of flapjacks, you guys, come on.
And for the record, Your Honor, this may be about 12 minutes just for timing purposes.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I planned on it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I need to give the jury just a little bit of instruction. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment, the state's going to play an audio recording that they've offered into evidence. You will likely notice, I think you've heard me and the lawyers mention some redactions. You'll likely notice as you watch it that things have been removed. I want to instruct you that the fact that things have been removed is not any concern of yours, and that you shouldn't speculate about what was removed or why it was removed or what might have been there that the court instructed. Understand that it's been done in my direction. And again, concern yourself with what's being demonstrated to you, not what might have also been there. Okay? Thank you all. Mr. Fawcett, the state may demonstrate the evidence that they choose.
Before that, where was she working? At that time? The law office. I've been, like, she worked that one, and then went to get your point over there.
Where was you working?
At the glass company, around the corner.
All right, so when was the last time you saw Melissa?
And that's the thing, I don't quite remember the last time was, because I remember, like, she would come and go, okay? And would say that it wasn't like, we're happy go lucky. She's sitting right here one day and then she was up and gone. And I don't know if that's the way.
So would you describe your relationship as tumultuous or like on again, off again? You know,
it was rocky there towards the end, mainly I think because it was her family so far trying to get back in her head and trying to make her think things and do things. And
like what?
I mean, she never had a relationship with her sister at all. You know, and then that towards the end, I guess everybody has a need to want, family and want to feel loved and want that type of thing. And I think there towards the end, maybe she tried a little to try to get back with him or to do what, but I don't think it was near what they made it seem like, that she was there all the time, or she leaving cards and pictures. And I know that did happen sometimes, she did, spend the time, but the struggle that we had, we had a common goal of what we were trying to accomplish. We had several blocks in the road.
Which was to go to California.
Just to get away.
Where was the kids at?
She didn't want no one in the house. She didn't want her, didn't be raised like she was, anything right there. There was no, we didn't put her in the bed and anybody could do it right there.
Okay, so when was the last time you saw her?
But the last actual time I remember was like, I woke up and she was gone. Like we were in the middle of the night and she left. And I don't know if that was the last time or the last time when I dropped her off at the train station to go to work. If it was a exact.
Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that the last time you saw her, you were driving up to your house on Brookline and saw her walking down the street? And that was the last time you saw her?
I don't remember saying that, but it's possible.
Okay.
I just don't.
So that, basically, you said that was the last time you saw her, that she said she was going to the train station. But something to that effect. I'm not saying verbatim that's what you said, but it was something along those lines.
Okay. I'll give you that.
But does that sound like it's accurate?
Again, it could.
Okay.
I don't know.
But you remember that incident, or do you recall that happening almost about the home, driving up or walking down the road? Does that ring any bells?
I mean, that's usually the way it happens because we only had one car.
Okay.
If there
So she
was,
was walking to the train station to try to go to work or something?
or I give her a ride, or she, sometimes she just wanted to walk.
Okay.
The train station, we're not talking about that train station far away. We're talking about here, like the end of the road.
Right, yeah, no, it didn't say, so I understand. But talking about that specifically, do you remember that day specifically? Did you remember? Well, I think we would like to ask you, what was she wearing? Do you remember? Did she have a purse with her? So you don't, but the last time you saw her, when you came back home, she wasn't there. Where was she staying? She didn't have a car, she couldn't move, so you were still there in the house?
I mean, she left it just like that. It was only like just a small. I mean, kind of the same thing I did. I mean, when I lost my job in the movie, I remember actually going to sell the house and everything. When I left, I would take part of it. I went to live in Waffle. So whatever it was.
After the last time you saw her, or back when she left, did she tell her family? Did she tell your family? You didn't tell her that your wife left?
I mean, she had left many times before that. When she would leave to go, I never knew that was the last time I was going to see her. If I did, I would have, freaking kept her.
After like a month or two, you didn't think that was
after a while, I was thinking that she had split and moved on. I mean, there was, she was maybe seeing the guy and everything that was up there, or I know that she was living with in Buford or Joe. I can't remember the last one in Buford or Eastern Point.
Was she seeing somebody else?
I don't know if she was seeing somebody else, but there was this dude, and I would say his girlfriend, that sometimes that she would stay with him in like a common lodge out that way. And
How did she know this these people?
she worked with him.
Work with a girl or with a guy?
I want to say the guy and the girl that worked there, but I could be wrong. I know the guy worked there, but I know that it was a couple, because then there was one time that they had called me and said that they were moving and she had to go do something, and then she had to do something else.
And this was before the last time you saw her, right?
What happened?
That's what I'm saying. I'm just wondering. I'm not misunderstanding.
Right.
I'm not trying to trick you or confuse you.
No,
I just want you to know.
I'm trying to figure it out.
If they were there, I was. So that's why. If I want to say that, I just want you to be accurate. All right, so a year goes by, you still don't tell anybody that she's gone.
I mean, I'm figuring that she's already done. I mean, we were always talking about changing her name and doing all. She had the stuff there.
Right.
When she got to the point where she was unhappy with me, I'm not trying to push myself in anybody's life that doesn't want me there. I mean, I look at my daughter, and everything was going on there, and I tried to push. And maybe looking back at it now, I was wrong. All the way around with both of them. Maybe I should have tried to push more and try to do it, but.
You said you lost your job, and the job, the last company, why did you lose your job?
Man, this guy, now, there's a lot of things going on right there with that. But, and I do now the same thing pretty much I did then. I mean, I work on Volkswagen and things on the side. And there was a guy there, I don't know who stole the thing, there was a saw that was missing. And I can tell you the exact guy that I borrowed this tool from and everything, I didn't steal their saw, period.
Why did they buy it?
But they said I stole the saw because their saw was missing. I lived out of the corner and he drove past my house and he seen the back of the Volkswagen, their top was cut off.
So you thought because you cut something off your car?
And I thought, look, I don't know anything about it. And then there was that, and then there was something where I drove through the toll plaza thing on 400. There was just a bunch of little things, and that was just the last straw.
How did you go through the toll plaza?
There used to be a thing where you could go through it.
Right.
And I was under the understanding, I was under the understanding that, there's things, there's just a bunch of little things. That was just the last straw. There was no.
They just let you go.
Right.
They filed a majority.
Well, I didn't do it, and if it goes there where I always thought I tried to tell whatever, but I said last straw, but.
Did you ever go up to the Waffle House and get an altercation with the mail?
I don't remember. I saw that on the internet. I don't remember that.
You guys said he came up there to beat you up.
And it seems like I would remember that, but I don't,
You driving a yellow Volkswagen?
I never had that.
Never go with a Volkswagen.
Right?
Wow. You never yelled at him?
Never. I've never, I haven't taken this yellow car since then.
Okay. All right. Well, what do you think happened to us?
Man, every which way I think about it, it has to go back. If her parents didn't do it directly, it had to be something indirectly around them. I would beat my brain.
So when you found out that a body was found just around the corner from where you were, and the body had been dismembered with a saw,
I didn't know that the body didn't remember the song at all.
you know the body was dismembered?
I heard that. Nobody ever said I saw. I didn't hear about
Autopsy report said.
Nobody ever gave me an autopsy. Nobody said that to me. I didn't know that until it was on the internet. Honest to God. I mean,
So what motive would her family have to kill?
this is not strange that they got away with this stuff for all these years, and then all of a sudden, right, as we stood up doing this right here, and all of a sudden he ends up guilty. I don't know if she came to them need money, or...
Do you think it's likely that her own family murdered her up and cut her?
Man, her own family killed her family and friends.
Yeah, I know he committed murder, but that's...
So his family and friends.
Well, why would he kill her? What would be the motive for that?
Hey, man,
If he's involved in, your family's involved in criminality and you're trying to protect yourself from going to jail, that's a motive to kill someone. What motive would he had to kill her?
No, we knew what he did. Her dad was like that.
So you weren't worried about him coming after you if he's going to cut up his own daughter and back you up?
How would he come after me? I didn't do anything. I didn't come in. Here's what I'm saying, man. I don't know if she needed money or if they come to him to credit him that way, and they did, maybe they were drunk and one thing, I don't know. Anything I say at this point is speculation because I don't know.
But I feel like the hell, if they're serial killers that have killed their family and friends and something happens to their family. Okay, first of all,
serial killers operate those, it's kind of unusual, but, okay.
Let's talk about this, okay?
Well, I'm not here to talk about all people with their family and
Right.
speculation.
Well, let's just put it into facts.
So the detectives are utterly dismissive of the fact that people that have reliably taken out 5 people who were family and friends, close associates. Again, family and friends were who Norma and Carl killed. And the detective's like, nah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, what motive? Well, every single motive seemed to trace back to Norma and Carl were going to get caught or turned into the police.
Facts. You said that she was put in bags. I didn't say that. What was on the internet that she was in the lockers?
I didn't say it.
So she put in bags?
Well, I said that.
We're getting straight up. I'm trying to
understand, from what I understand, the body parts had washed out of an area onto the street. Now, there were bags recovered there, so we should make the assumption that they may have been bags, yes. But I wasn't there to see, so I can't.
Nobody has been straight up with me on this, okay? And everything that I'm learning is basically through the internet. And we all know how the internet lies, and it's a whole thing.
Radio 100%.
Everything that the internet said about me, living under a different name, trying to hide me, that is a lie.
And that's why I'm not asking you about that, because I'm not going to go off some speculation from the internet.
For the record,
Okay, you guys. Well, the natives are going wild. The youngest, most feral, is demanding that we do something fun as a family since it is nice outside. So I am going to go ahead and send you over to Nick. He is covering, I think, the Charlie Adelson case, or at least his testimony, in addition to the Donna Adelson case. So have a great day. Thanks for spending time with me. Thank you for everyone who watched. And I hope you will join me tomorrow. I'll be going over the press conference about the Buford Pusser, the real story behind Walking Tall, and see how that goes. So have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire because kindness doesn't equal doormat. Bye, you guys.